Okay. I think we're working well now. Good morning, Kevin. Have a determination of a quorum, please.
Yes, we do. We have 5 out of 7 members present. We have a quorum, and the meeting was noticed according to Florida Statute 702 and SummerGlen governing documents.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make an announcement before we start. Item 8D on the agenda has been removed today. This is because of the burden of work overload and insufficient time, plus other golf-related incidents, prevents this item from being discussed this morning. Thank you for your patience. This item will appear later. Thank you.
I'm John Stanek, Lot 13.
I haven't got a resident input sheet. No one's provided me a sheet.
It's
Thank you.
Just one there.
Great, sorry. A little bit of exercise for you. Okay, thank you. Oh. Okay, that's
John Stanek, Lot 13, commonly referred to as the pool boy.
Full man.
No, boy.
I'm here to talk about the automatic cleaner that's on the agenda. Right now, our pool is just shy of 3,500 square feet. And the equipment that we have to clean the pool is either broken or obsolete. We have a small little hand vacuum cleaner that can't reach the center of the pool, and the collection basket is this size, so it really can't collect much of anything. The last 5 times that we've had storms, it's taken me about 5 days to remove all the leaves from the bottom. The hole that's in that vacuum is about the size of a dime. So when you suck one leaf in there, it plugs it up. So you have to pull it out, take it apart, clean it, put it back in, suck up another leaf, and it stops again. So it's ridiculous to try to use that. The company that we had before had an automated pool cleaner that he had hooked onto the back of his truck that he brought that he could suck up things from the bottom. We don't have one of those. When I started taking over the pool, what we found was that the pool area was in deplorable shape. Equipment was broken, equipment wasn't being used. I'm happy to say that right now, all the automation in the pool is working. I've donated pumps and feed lines and injectors and foot valves and probes and everything else from the company that I work for. They weren't all brand new, but they were probably in the area of $3,000 to $5,000 worth of equipment that was donated to put the pool back into operating condition. Right now, the pool automatically feeds chlorine when it's needed, not when it's not, and feeds acid when it's needed, not when it's not. So we're in good shape. The DE system is in good shape. The lid for the DE is out for repair. But the other concern is there's still a lot of broken things out there. 2 of the heaters, one for the spa and one for the pool, are broken. One of the pumps for the spa is broken. The diverter valves that allows you to siphon water off the top and from the bottom are broken. The main pump that we could use for suction on the pool, that also doubles at the pump out the DE system so that it can be cleaned and recharged is on its last leg. Sometimes it takes an hour for it to prime. Some other things are needed. So there's money that needs to be spent to put a 20-year-old plus system back in order that wasn't being done with our previous pool vendor. And unfortunately, right now, we're gonna have to pay the price for it. Initially, that pool cleaner will make a huge difference in keeping the pool water, the bottoms clean. The water is crystal clear. We had to super sanitize the pool yesterday because of a friend who dropped some droppings in there. We cleaned all that up. We super sanitized it. It's back to usable condition now, but we need to spend some money to keep a beautiful pool back in beautiful condition. And that pool cleaner that you have, the better one, I think it's $2,100 on your sheet, but there's a rebate or whatever for it, is a step in the right direction to maintaining the pool in a good condition. Thank you.
John, one question I have. Do you have any idea as far as the dollar figure, what it would take to get this pool back into shape? Ballpark?
I think Dick has all of that.
Okay.
We had several vendors here trying to fix things. We were unable to do it. We finally found a vendor, Pinch Plumbing, I think is the name of them, who are very good. They were actually the one that plumbed in a second pool heater so that could be a backup for the spa, and they did an excellent job. And they seem to know what they're doing quite well. But as I said, we're paying now for what wasn't done over 20 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job.
Kevin, I think some items I think we've got out for order and things, but I think when Dick gets his list, then we'll probably need to discuss that and get a figure and a plan in place.
Yeah, most definitely. We do have a proposal to repair the spa heater that's down. That's in the packet here.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Just as a point of information, did we not replace all the pool heaters in the last couple of years?
Been about 3 years.
It's been about 3 years. but-
Okay. Yeah,
And we replaced all of them, did we not?
they were all new. That's all.
Okay, is the useful life more than, I would think it's what, 3 to 5 years, maybe?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
All 5 pool heaters were replaced at that time. They're very sophisticated pool heaters made out of titanium. Unfortunately, the metal parts that go into that titanium are corroding, dissimilar metal corrosion. And although we've had somebody out 5 times to try to fix that heater, they don't seem to be able to fix it. And the fact that the vendor that we had was just dumping chemical in the pit, and we had super high levels of chlorine and super high levels of acid running through those heaters, probably helped to damage what's there.
So, sorry, John. So, are you saying that? And I won't quote the previous vendor because I might get shot. But the previous vendor, who you know who they are, they were just they're actually one of the causes of the deterioration in the pool heaters.
2 things, really. They were just dumping chemicals into the pit in the pool room with 5 gallons at a time. So when I originally did the testing, chlorine in there is supposed to be between 4 and 7 parts per million. There was times when I tested it, I found it at 50, one time's 100 parts per million. The pH is supposed to be between 7.2 and 7.6. One time I went in there, was 2, that's acid. And people were swimming in the pool and the spa with it. So all of the automation in there was not being used. If it had been, then the water chemistry would have been good all the time. The pit where the DE filters are, which does probably 90% of the work in the pool, has a bank of filters in it. And that bank of filters should never have more than 1/4 inch of spent DE in the bottom of it. There was 3 feet. It took 4 of us to get each bank of filters out. And when Jeff hauled it away, I think he took away probably 600-800 pounds of spent DE. So they weren't doing anything. They were charging us money to destroy our equipment. That main pool pump that we ended up having to replace was designed to pump water, and it was trying to pump through 3 feet of dirt. So that's what tore out that pump. So not only were we paying him to not do a job, he was destroying our equipment while we were paying him.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, Kevin, let's make sure that, I think in 2025, the reserve study will be started up. We need to make sure that things like the heaters and the pools are recognized so that we're updating the reserve study accurately.
Most definitely. That's on the schedule to get done this year soon.
Okay, next up is Dick Burt, our maintenance man.
Good morning, SummerGlen Board.
Actually, sorry, Dick, maybe just it.
No.
Good morning, SummerGlen Board.
Okay. Before you start, maybe just introduce yourself, because some people may not know you.
My name is Dick Burt. I live at lot number 86, and I was hired to be the maintenance supervisor. Coming on, there is a number of things that I'll say just were neglected or not taken care of for whatever reasons. I don't need to get into any of those reasons, but I'll say that there's a new sheriff in town. So there's things that's going to be done. If there's something, I'm going to tell you, if there's something that you see that's a hazard or a liability or something that you really feel is somebody can get hurt, call the office or you can call me directly. And I'll make sure that that's addressed and taken care of as soon as possible. Raymond, just the other night in the evening, just sent me a quick message saying the patio door wasn't working. I responded back to him right away, came over, checked it, told him it's still locked and I can work on it. And it's been that way actually for a while. And it was there when my wife and I moved here. So, but it's fixed and it was fixed yesterday. So we're going to address things that need to be addressed that are safety, security, and anything that can cause any bodily harm. Other than that, we'll go through all the other things, but those are things we really need to take care of as a community, also as a resident. You know, I look at everybody here really as my family, and I don't want anybody in my family to get hurt. And so if you see anything like that, that's really critical for me. And so please let somebody know, let the office know, or get a hold of me. Like I said, I'm at lot number 86. You can even look me up in the book and call me, you know, and I will try to work on stuff the best that I physically can. Coming on, I'm spending a lot of time just trying to get my head around everything. I just got my computer today, so eventually I'm going to get a little more organized. But regarding the pool, John is doing an outstanding job on exactly what's going on and getting the water and the chemistry. He's a wonderful, I'll say, water expert and engineer. And the things that he has done already with the condition of the pool, with the tools that he had, I commend him for the things that he physically did. I went over and ran out and got something else that was a tool to help bring up some leaves. That's where all the leaves were in. If John would have had to use that little piece of equipment that he had before, it would have taken him days. I'm going to tell you that, you know, when you're looking at the value of that, myself, John was off on vacation on Friday and Saturday. So I came in and I have approximately 6 hours just cleaning the pool myself, and that's at time and a half. So when you're talking about what it could save with time and money, the return on investment on that $2,100 is going to reap rewards almost immediately, because then I don't have to come in and try to do some things when there's a lot of other things that really need some other fires and things that really need some attention taken care of. So I'm the new guy, so I'm going to apologize first if I do things erratically or don't follow exactly the guidelines, but if it has to do something with safety, security, or hazards, I believe that's my number one step, and those things need to be addressed. The other things, I'll learn the right and correct process, and I respect those things. But those things, you know, as a community and as a responsibility to my job, that's what I feel that I need to step up and do. So I would like to say thank you. Thank you for everybody that's in this room in our community for the opportunity to work here too as well.
Thank you, Dick. Actually, I saw him working on the patio door that we were discussing, but he brought to my attention something else, and it must have been like this for years. It was the sprinkler, one of the sprinkler head covers, or the sprinkler box covers, and this item had been cracked for many years. It was broken in two halves. It was near one of the lavatories on the golf course. I think hole 4 or 5. I think it's hole
Between
5.
3 and 4, I
Yeah.
believe.
Anyone could have stepped on it, put their foot in it, probably broken their leg, and we would have been in serious trouble because when you examine the part, it had mould on the crack. So thanks for bringing that to our attention yesterday.
Yeah, yes, that needs to be done. I'm just going to take care of it. And so right now, I put a cone up. I already ordered the cover. In regards to whose responsibility is it? Is it ABM's? Is it ours? Is it what? You know what? I really don't care. It's a potential for liability, and that could be very serious. One for SummerGlen and for First Service. And I don't want, like I said, one of my family members or even a resident guest or guests that are coming here to do that. You don't mind if I say something else, do you, real quick?
I think we're going to be here for a long time this morning, so I don't mind. Or this afternoon.
I am a golfer, but I have not golfed at the course yet here, and I haven't golfed in about 7 years. But just in this room, how many people here are golfers? Okay. How many people have used the bathrooms on the golf course? How many of you feel that those bathrooms are really up to snuff and what we should have in our community?
They are clean.
No, and that's ABM's responsibility. Okay, I'm going to tell you that if I look at, I'm going to ask another question. How many people have been to Buc-ee's? 2 people? 3 people? 4 or 5? Tell me, how are their bathrooms? Spotless. Okay, so if you're on the freeway and you're going to go and you got to go to the bathroom, I mean extremely bad, and you got a Circle K or a mobile station that's going to be 10 miles before Buc-ee's, are you going to go there or are you going to go to Buc-ee's? Okay, what I look at is that our community, we have guests. We want more people to come here and golf. That is an impression that we are leaving not just to our own golfers, but to our visitors. And those bathrooms, in my opinion, should look even almost as good as what the bathrooms do here. The guys do a great job at cleaning these bathrooms and trying to keep them up. Those bathrooms should be respectful of our visitors and go, hey, you know what? There's a lot of things that need to be done, but those are some things that, just in our golf part of the community, we need to do those things. So
Next up is Brett Struess. Is it Struess? Struess? I probably pronounced your real name wrong.
Have fun with it. Strunzy.
Oh, Strenzy. Oh, my apologies.
Strunza.
Stronza. Okay,
Yeah, something
fine.
like that. Lot 971. Currently lower. I know it's short people, we did problems too. I will say that I'm really impressed with my 2 previous speakers. The quality of what they're doing and the way they presented it, I think is outstanding. So I just compliment them, and it's a hard act to follow basically with those 2. I think they did a very good job regarding the pool and the maintenance. Several weeks ago, the board of, I guess directors you could call it, with Pickleball Club, met with F&G concerning some issues that the club has. The club has about 160 members. We have some very strong individuals, personality-wise, that are involved in the club. And with that meeting with F&G, it was discussed that too many CRFs are being submitted, for one thing, and trying to get feedback from those CRFs. So since that point in time, I sent out a blast or whatever to the club that all future CRFs should go through the board of directors of the Pickleball Club, so to make sure that there's a limited number of possible CRFs that come forward, just to eliminate some of the paperwork and so forth. So with that, I would like to talk to CRF, this is 2023-182, which is the pavers under the courts, or around the pickleball courts. I think that is a valid need. I think it's a safety issue because it's very easy to stumble or catch your foot on those uneven pavers. I regard that probably as a maintenance issue rather than total replacement or something else. They just need to be cleaned up and leveled out. The other one is replacement of benches for pickleball courts. I will comment that inappropriately some benches were moved around. We're trying to find out exactly who did those, and of course, when we do, I think we know possibly who it is. We'll address that and tell people to keep your hands off. That's something you just don't do. The benches that were there needed to be replaced. Again, that's a safety issue. They're split. They were installed, I think, improperly because the screws were tightened down too much, and it continued to break the slats and part of the benches. So they could just be replaced and use the ones that are there, or even replace them with a good treated wood probably would do just as well. The other issue is regarding to number G, 8G. I believe you all have copies of the schedule that's posted. We do this schedule of the courts and the usage of the courts a minimum of 2 times a year. Sometimes, depending on the weather, we will readjust that schedule and repost it. We do it outside the courts. We also do it inside the hallway of the SRO. What has happened in the past is the fact that there's been a conflict of who schedules and who posts the schedule or puts something on the schedule. And there hasn't been a clear-cut point of entry, I could say, of who adjusts the schedule or who does the schedule. But the board has always done it, the board of directors in the pickleball club. But it also came to our attention that someone requested something they wanted to put on the schedule. It wasn't agreeable with the board of directors. It didn't comply with the guidelines. So they went to the HOA, and the HOA overrode and scheduled it, and that presented a conflict. The adjustment that has been submitted to proposal through FNG to you for the usage of the court usage and who makes the assignment of how it's going to be used or scheduled is simply a request to find a single point of entry that we can schedule those courts and usage. You'll see that we're not really for the amount of time that is in the schedule. All of the green that's in the schedule that you can see is open time. It never hinders anybody from using any one of those courts. Those other ones that are colored are things that are planned and scheduled by the pickleball club, whether it's an internal activity or whether it also includes external communities coming in. So we're just merely asking for guidelines in our usage agreements that we have a single point of entry for somebody to come and request something be put on the schedule for the pickleball courts. Thank you.
Yes, well,
Rich, can I ask a quick question while you're... I noticed the benches were moved around, the metal benches. Wouldn't the metal benches actually be better in the long term?
Yeah, absolutely.
Leave them right where they are?
Yes, absolutely. Those are great benches.
And then we could just fix the other ones?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Now, the question is, before, the ones that are just outside the basketball court are mounted into the concrete
Correct.
stationary. So if you leave those metal ones there, it would behoove us, I think, to go ahead and fasten them to the slab that's there to make them permanent.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay, I'm wondering, there was 2 benches removed from the horseshoes and switched over to pickleball. Has that been fixed? Is yours not working? Oh, sorry, it wasn't on. Is it working now?
Still can't hear you.
Yes, have the 2 benches been moved back to this? I just want to make sure we get a proper count when we go into this. That's why I'm asking.
I think
The
they're
2
where they're
benches
removed.
get
The 2
moved
metal
back to
benches
shuffle.
are still in
Back
front of
to
the courts.
horseshoes?
Yeah, the 2 metal benches are still in front of the 2 initial courts.
Right, that's what I just mentioned, Lynn. They moved 2 metal benches over. The metal benches would be better for pickleball. Nope. And the other benches were moved over by the horseshoe pit. Those do need to be repaired because they had the broken
That's what I'm
slats.
saying. I just want to make sure we get a proper count.
But they're all there, I believe. I
Yeah,
believe they're all there.
They're all there, nothing's been removed, but those are moved over by the horseshoe pits. Seriously, they're good because they're composite
Right.
material, but whoever installs them and puts them together sinks those screws too far down into those things, and what it does, it puts pressure when you sit with body weight. It puts pressure and it cracks it right where the screws go into that particular slat that's going across there. So again, if they were probably installed a little bit more accurately, it might not cause the damage that has been done in the past.
Okay, so just to,
As long as we have an accurate count.
yeah,
that's
just to
what
make it clear, because obviously there's some shuffling of benches done. I think the CRF calls for 4 6-foot benches. Now, are those 4 6-foot benches allocated for a certain area, or are we doing a swap shop and moving benches around?
Okay, you want to talk to it?
Okay, I'll let Diane answer the question then. Okay, thank you.
I'll
I
be
think
up
there's
there
only
for my
two
turn.
that
Yeah.
need to be replaced.
Yeah, I see you on the list. Okay, that's fine. I just didn't want to. You mentioned that some benches have been moved, and they shouldn't have been moved. And I'm just wondering, in all this shuffling of benches, where the ones that Diane is going to talk about, where they're actually going to go. So, okay, I'm fine.
I will suggest that I complied and send out, please don't send in any more CRFs unless the board does it. So they're also going to hear that keep your hands off of stuff you don't belong to you, so.
Okay, thank you. Is Jay Wynn for the softball tractor?
Morning, Jay Wynn, Lot 169, I'm president of Softball Association. The first thing I'll talk about real quick is the weeds. We need the weeds taken care of. They look like crap around the softball field, but that's all I'll say about that. I'm here about the tractor. I talked in front of the board about the tractor, the needs for the tractor. I'm not going to go into all the details again. That'd be boring. But one of the things, we need a tractor. We're losing our field. Because of the way the sprinkler systems are, if you go out to the field, you'll know how bad the waves are getting in the infield. During Christmas, we rotored it. That worked for a while, but we need the proper equipment. The tractor we're looking at has a scraper to scrape the side or get rid of some of the weeds, or I'm sorry, some of the waves on the infield, okay? The waves are being caused by, I talked to ABM, met with them a few times. It's the sprinkler system. It's a residential sprinkler system that was put on the softball field. Nothing we can do about it. It's not the proper sprinkler system. The cost for proper sprinkler system is not something we're even going to come to the board about to redo that, because you'd have to take up the outfield grass and do a bunch of digging, and the cost would be prohibitive. So we have to live with what we have. But the tractors, we verified it's a 1995 tractor. We talked to the manufacturer. Manufacturer says do not waste any money to put in trying to fix it. It's basically useless after talking to them. The money would be outrageous. We put this CRF in, 6 months ago. Bunker rakes are hard to find. They're backed up about a year for a new one. We're not asking for a new one, but there are sites that we've been looking at. We've lost a chance to bid on 5 of them. And what we're looking at is we're looking in the Florida, Georgia area. We can find a bunch up in New Jersey, a bunch in Texas, but unless you want to pay for them to deliver it, we're willing to go up to Georgia and anywhere in Florida, go pick it up, the softball community. Remember, our softball association has agreed to come up with $5,000 additional to what the board will come up with to get a better, newer running tractor. And I'll leave it at that, because like I said, I've already talked to the board many a times. I've talked to you, most of you personally. Any questions I can answer?
Not at this time. I think Maybe John may have some questions because John was on the board last year, but...
Nope, him and I had a long talk the other day.
Okay, well, that's good, that's good. All right, thank you very much indeed, Jay.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate your comments. Next is Ray Williams, wants to talk about the restaurant.
Good morning, board. My name is Ray Williams, lot 61. I think I'm a bit of an expert on restaurants. I worked for McDonald's for 57 years, 32 years in operations, rising to the level of director of operations for many restaurants, and 25 years building over 35 restaurants and remodeling over 50, doing over $100 million in business. And my question to this board is why, when the restaurant closed in May, didn't you start doing repairs? Saturday is February the 1st, 2025, and the restaurant is still not ready to go if our operator was ready to go. So my question is, who is responsible for leading this community? Does First Service Residential control this? Does the board control it? Does anybody control it? Because in my opinion, everybody stands back and waits for something to happen. It is ridiculous. In addition to the construction issues, I asked someone the other day about the status of the restaurant. They said we're waiting to get insurance straightened out. Are you kidding me? Can't you have a plan when you're going to reopen something? If we're lucky, this restaurant will open just in time for the summer season, so the operator will suffer with poor sales all summer. And what I'm saying about the restaurant, many of those things seem to apply to our golf course. I am disgusted with the condition of our golf course. I am disgusted with the lack of direction and guidance. We have a director of golf who I understand he's sick. Okay, let's get somebody in to take care of the problems. Let's get a clear line of responsibility. Who reports to who? Who's following up on things around here? And if I hear from the board members one more time, we can't discuss something because of legal issues, it's all an attempt to avoid transparency as far as I am concerned. So determine who this is. Is it incompetency? Is it lack of direction? Find out who's responsible and let's do something about it. Thank you.
I appreciate your speech you've just made. It's very, it's from the heart. When you, how can I put it? When Tuscany went, it left behind a lot of issues, a lot of debris, and so forth. Mm-hmm. The selection process for a new vendor took a lot longer than was anticipated. I'll bring up the repairs to the restaurant. We could have probably gone to that restaurant and carried out some repairs, but that may not have necessarily suited the new vendor. So it was we kind of waited until we were closer to an agreement with a vendor, and to see what they would like, what they wouldn't like in terms of the restaurant. Now, any repairs that are done, yeah, they need permits, as you probably know, and repairs have been underway. We haven't skipped responsibility of doing this. It's just that there was no need back in June or July of last year to actually all of a sudden knock the restaurant down and rebuild it. It's the HOA's responsibility and First Service's responsibility to monitor this. So, if you want to kick anyone, kick us. But there are plans of how we do this. We do work in a particular way.
So it was addressed during Turnpike Mike's,
And
it was addressed. Let me finish, please.
Sorry,
it was addressed whenever Sal left. What's holding up the repairs to the restaurant now has nothing to do with what the restaurant operator wants. It has to do with that wall there where you folks someone wasted a lot of money. Because according to what I've heard, and I keep hearing different things, it was required to take down the tile because the electrical boxes weren't sufficient. Well, those electrical boxes could have been fixed by simply putting in extensions on them, costing less than $0.25 a piece, and that does comply with the NEC, the National Electrical Code. But no one asks any questions as far as I can figure out. They don't ask questions about things, and they give you a runaround on everything. One more example, cameras. We had a problem where people were taking things out of golf carts. I asked 2 different board members what the problem with it was. First board, the person that went up to find out what happened was told the cameras don't work. First board member told me, yes, all the cameras work. We can't let that person see what happened because of legal liability. Number 2 board member, no, all our cameras do work, but we don't have access to some of them because our vendor won't give us the password to view our own cameras because we're having a dispute with him over paying. Do us a favor and give us some transparency. Put somebody in charge of these things. And as a friend of mine, Tom Ely, said, why don't you find some people in the community who have experience in some of these areas and ask them to help you out. That's what you need to do. I think you're all fine people, and I wouldn't, one board member said, if you don't like it, run for the board. No, I'm not going to run for the board because I don't want to put up with all the BS you guys put up with from all of us. And maybe this is part of it. But I am going to start attending board meetings. You folks need to figure out what the hell's going on here. If it's First Service that's not doing their job, fine. The golf course. Who is responsible for the golf course? ABM? They report to First Service? Do they report to Dan? Do they report to the whole board? Why doesn't the director of golf, why can't he interface with ABM about running the course? I've heard he can't because he's not allowed to talk to them. And because they told him they're not required to share any information with him. And the man's in charge of golf.
I think you'll find there is interaction between our golf manager and ABM. There is interaction. I'm not going to go into specific. This is a workshop not to discuss all the little things that go on in the community. I do, Ray, I do appreciate your concerns. I appreciate your passion. You have the same passion as Dick has. We want to get things done. There are processes of command, and things sometimes move slowly. I'm sorry for that.
Okay,
so you talk about the camera issue. That was, I think you've got 2 responses there. I think one of the responses was correct. We did have a problem with a previous vendor that used to take care of them, and they kind of kept the codes to them. I think First Service have been looking into that.
Yeah, that's been resolved. They got it.
Yeah. So again, I'm not going to apologise, because it's a whole community that comes together and puts these things and does things. But you brought up all the valid points, and we've taken them on board. I hear your comments about the restaurant. I hear your comments about the golf course. If you think as a board we're not concerned, then you're wrong. We are seriously concerned.
I don't know what the problem is. If I knew, I'd say, what is wrong with you folks? What is wrong with First Service? But I don't know. I want to know what's wrong.
But things do move along. It does take, sometimes things go quickly. Some things take time. I'll apologise on behalf of the board that it's taken us so long to get a restaurant vendor in. But that was a process that was started almost as soon as Tuscany left here, and we went through a process, and at the last hour the person that was selected backed out. We had to go through the whole process again. Luckily, as you probably know, because you actually stood at that position about 4 weeks ago, we had a new restaurant vendor came. They sat at a table down there, and they look like they're the ones that we're going to go move forward with. But it's taken time. No one loves SummerGlen, and it's a very hard place to get a restaurateur into. I don't even think you could get McDonald's in here, to be honest. So They're my comments. I'll leave the final word to you.
I just have one question. Are you going to say that John Halverson can discuss things with ABM and they can discuss with him? So if he says to them, how many bags of fertilizer have you ordered to use on the course? They have to answer him. If he asks questions of operations, if he says, can you tell me why you're doing this or that? They have to talk to him. Because I've been told they haven't talked to him, and they said they report to these folks.
That's incorrect. John has a very good relationship with Brett. They've been working hand in hand. I know that for a fact. So wherever you're getting the information is incorrect.
Who's Greg?
Who is Brett?
Oh,
Brett
Greg.
is our super.
I thought you said Greg.
No, Brett.
Okay, so
he's our superintendent.
Okay, so then I'm wrong, Dan. So
Yeah.
they work well together?
Yes, they do.
Then what the hell's happening to our course? It'll be open in time for the dead season.
Anybody else?
Okay, right. Okay, thank you, Ray. Next up is Diane.
Diane Doan, lot 559. I'm here about a lot of stuff here. First of all, and it's growing as we talk. The pool cleaner.
Diane, before you start, Ray, could you nip out to McDonald's and order some lunch for us, please? 'Cause I can see this going to 2 o'clock. Okay, Diane, sorry, carry on.
If you'll open a restaurant in the next few weeks, I'll buy you all lunch every day.
Okay.
I'm holding you to that, Ray.
I'm going to hold you guys to it.
Okay, guys, I'm up. Let me talk.
Sorry.
All right. Okay. On the agenda, the revisit to the pool cleaner. Okay. F&G has not gotten into this. What had happened is we have assigned someone to do this, and he had sent an email. Actually, it's my husband. And he had sent an email to Mike Henry because he wanted to speak with him about some basic issues about the pool and and how things are gonna go. He's never heard from him. We have not even done a recommendation yet. My husband is working on this, and it is in process. I've gotten him to do it because in our previous home we had a gunite pool. He knows all about pools. So, okay, moving on. The next thing I have is item number F, which is what is it called? It's the operating rules. I have a question, and I don't know if you want to wait for me to bring this up when you guys are looking at it, but on this particular one, in item number 10, on gambling, raffles, lotteries, and games of chance.
Not in the agenda.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's part of the,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's item
Activities.
number
Summer
F.
leagues and activity.
Okay.
under 8F.
Yeah, and part of it here is in regards to the exemption. And I believe this is incorrect on what's written here. It's saying that any activity or event conducted on or in SummerGlen facilities or common grounds is prohibited from engaging in any game of chance at any place by any device whatsoever for money or other things of value in violation of the state of Florida statute 849. And in parentheses it said, SummerGlen is not exempt from the statute. Yes, we are. And not should not be in, it should not say not. SummerGlen is exempt. And I know this because we do bingo, and bingo is exempt because it's a private community. So that needs to be fixed. Moving on. Okay, letter H. And this is brought up about the pavers. This has been going on for a while. You've got 3 CRFs here that are revisited. I asked Kevin to bring them up and put them on the agenda because we are not getting any feedback. At this point now, on the pavers and what is brought up here at the pickleball court, what we would like to do is break that out. We're going to go and try and get someone to come in, like a landscaping company, to fix it. That's a safety issue. The second thing, the softball field maintenance tractor. Brought this up before. This is a safety issue. We have asked, and it was put on hold from the board because we did not have, what was it, Tom said, cash cash something, cash flow or something. But in any event, this is something that needs to be done. They need the approval from the board to do this so that they can go and get a tractor. And, oh gosh, sorry, I'm getting a little upset here. On letter J, the weed issue, that's another thing that has been come up to the board, and it's been, I don't know, I'm getting so frustrated at F&G because we bring stuff up to the board, it gets tabled, or it doesn't get discussed, or it doesn't even come up. This is something that needs to be done because weeds are now growing into the field that you had paid over $60,000 to fix. And that's it, I'm done.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. The benches, I was going to talk about that too. The pickleball, yep. We have put in the CRF and we are replacing the benches, okay? The ones that they're talking about, the metal ones, they are not in great shape. They've been repaired by maintenance, but they are rusting. What we're going to do with those metal ones is put some over into the tennis slash pickleball court. That we're going to put some over there, but we are replacing the 4, and that's in your packet, and it is the same benches that we have at Shuffleboard. Those we're going to replace, and we ask that you please.
Diane, do you think you'll have the bid for the pavers before our next board meeting?
No.
Why?
Well, your next board meeting's in 2 weeks. For
Yes,
us to get anybody in, we can try, but
Okay.
Yeah,
and
It is a hazard, and
it
we have
is,
to try
and
to get
it's
that.
yeah, and it's been put aside. So yeah, we will be working on it. But at this point, in fact, Rick is here. Rick will handle it.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. Good report.
Thank you for your information there, Diane. I know, I appreciate, sorry, I'll just add before Roland comes up. Being on F&G last year, I know some of these items are leftovers from last year. And obviously, you know, does need attention. Regarding the pool cleaner, I obviously there must be some miscommunication. I mean, I know that Richard and John are pushing for this particular pool cleaner.
Right.
I don't know how much work has been done. I think it's not something that's coming up for a vote this morning, but we're just discussing it. So there's a little bit of time to receive some more input.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Roland LaFontaine, lot 230. I was going to comment about the board, the workshop meeting times and the board of directors meetings, but from what I've seen so far this morning, you've got a lot of concerned people here. You need to listen to them, okay? That's what I'm hearing so far. Diane is one of them. These two guys over here, they took it upon themselves to take the pool on. That's concern for the community. I mean, I got to give these guys a lot of credit for what they've taken on as a community member. Wow, they've taken on a lot. But as far as the board workshop meeting times, I'm sure appreciate a later starting time, maybe 10 o'clock, maybe in the afternoon so we wouldn't have to take a lunch break. But a later starting time would be great for me, and I hope a lot of other people. I think you'd get more attendance if you had a later starting time. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowan. The meeting agenda times are a topic of discussion. We will talk about that later on. There's pros and cons for going later, keeping it the same, etc. But we'll discuss that as a board a little bit later on. Next up, I believe, is Carol.
Okay, I speak?
Yeah.
I don't know if this is on, it doesn't sound like it. Carol Steck, lot 1006. Thank you to the board for listening to all this today. I've got a number of items, but I'm going to try and be short and sweet with each of them. Item L, Social Committee Fashion Show Proposal. I do appreciate that they provided a complete packet. I do question, however, why, when they know their cost, that they are not pricing their tickets to cover that cost. They are basically projecting a loss. Especially at the beginning of the year, it's fine. Towards the end of the year, if they've made more money than they expected, that they want to, be able to give some things at a lower cost. But starting out the year for February, I simply do not understand it. The fashion show has always been a sellout. They pretty much know exactly how many tickets they're going to sell. They know exactly what their cost is. The budget is a income versus expense neutral, meaning zero. Should be zero cost to the HOA. It should cover. So I would just encourage the board to please encourage the social committee to follow that guideline in determining their prices. The operating rules and regulations. There's a lot of items in here that, quite frankly, there's typos, there's grammatical errors. Unfortunately, the packets are a PDF file that you can't even highlight, or I would have been glad to just kind of highlight and print out something to send in to you. I'm not really willing to, write up 7 pages of notes, but I would ask that somebody please look at these grammatical and typos. For instance, under item 12B, it talks about organized events, blubs, and activities. I believe blub is probably supposed to be club. One of the proposed changes under 9A, alcoholic beverages may only be served, I suppose that's supposed to be the word may. Please, if we're going to have policies, but there's some things in here that they didn't address. Item 5A still talks about our meetings being broadcast over the community television channel. Probably should be removed since we haven't had the channel in, 3 years? The other, and actually it's my biggest concern, is item 5B, and this is under scheduling policies. Talks about contracted events, and it says musical, theatrical, and other outside groups may from time to time be hired by the social committee, a club activity group, on a contractual basis. We've had some discussion, the board has had some discussion, I think as recently as the last meeting with social, that they are not authorized to sign contracts and to obligate the HOA to hiring somebody. This could very well be interpreted as, yes, they do. Please decide what your policy is and make sure this is worded appropriately. Regarding the proposal for meeting times, the proposal actually talks about evening times. I would simply ask, what, if any, additional charges we are going to incur from FSR, because I know, for instance, under Leland, when you had evening meetings, you had to pay additional fees for every person, staff member, that you required to be here. It was like $75 a person. I personally don't want us to be picking up another couple $100 a month in charges to FSR. Number 4, Pickleball Club. I want to thank Richard for kind of clarifying what they were trying to accomplish with this proposal on the pickleball club usage in terms of the pickleball club board. Somebody maybe needs to look at this wording, because what he was basically, if I'm not mistaken, saying that if somebody on the pickleball club wants to schedule something, they have to go through the board of the pickleball club and they will submit it to the HOA. And I'm fine with that, but the way I read it was Pickleball Board Club is going to take precedence over the HOA office, which our other policy on scheduling facility use says it's up to the office to decide yay or nay. So maybe please clarify that. Also and if this is your schedule that you put out, Richard, you're still here? Yes. I would ask, just on behalf of those of us who, might occasionally like to go up and just, volley some balls but are not a member of the club, that you don't say open play all levels, you simply say open play any and all residents. Because this is almost being interpreted as, oh, this is clubs, still club people. And we have clubs, and I think his proposal about that it goes through their board is a good one, because some of the clubs seem to start thinking that, oh, because we have a facility, any member of that club can come in and reserve, you know, the use of facilities, whether it's pickleball, whether it's the grand hall, and I don't believe that's the case. It should be going through the head of their committee, because sometimes you come in here and there's 2 people. It's like, why are 2 people being allowed to reserve the grand hall? Kind of ridiculous. Anyway, moving on.
How many have you got, Carol? Because I've been very generous with time allocation this morning.
Well, I know, and you've been, let's see, I think I timed Ray with 7.5 minutes, so.
No, I know.
I've got one more.
I've got my little watch going here, don't worry.
The last one is the sound system update. There's nothing in the packet, this was kind of put on the last minute. Just to let you know that several individuals, I mean Tom Hudgens, myself, and Alan have all been kind of working on trying to get an inventory of all of the old equipment that is just getting stacked up in the electrical room over here with the goal of it needs to be disposed of. We've got like 2 or 3 old soundboards in there. You know, it's like every time we get a new one, they just put the old one in the closet. There's a spotlight back there that has a very helpful note on it. It says the lamp was last replaced in 2011. It hasn't been used. Why are so we'd like, our goal is to hopefully, if we can sell some of this stuff, or we prefer if it can be donated. We don't want to spend a lot of time trying to figure out what does or doesn't work. You know, some of it may just be, hey.
Okay,
So please.
I'll stop you on that, so I do have some comments to make about the sound system later on. But,
okay.
Okay, thank you.
That's it, thank you.
Thank you. You got, no, we have 2, we actually have 2 more people. Marty Sawyer's next. Marty, sorry.
So Marty Sawyer, lot 180. I have a couple of things. One about the tractor for the softball field. So I thought we pay somebody to maintain the softball field. Why would they need to buy a tractor?
Not the infield.
Okay, so are you gonna let the residents or you guys buy a tractor and then let them go out there and use it? If they get hurt or run over by the tractor or they're racing this tractor around the track, where's the liability lie in that? So I'm a little concerned about that. The pool as well. I don't know why the maintenance supervisor is out there cleaning the pool. Don't we have someone to clean the pool? We don't pay anybody to clean the pool?
No, since the, I think John mentioned about the previous contractor we had in here has done more damage than good to us. Last year we, as a board, we took on the decision to take all the pool maintenance in-house, and John became our, is he still here? John became our, yeah, yes, sorry. John became our pool boy. John is totally responsible for the pool maintenance. He and Jeff, I'll reiterate what he said this morning, he and our previous maintenance man, Jeff Metcalf, spent hours and hours and hours, you know, bringing it up to spec. But yes,
I don't want to relive all that.
No, it's all handled in-house.
Be a resident and just volunteering?
No, John is a resident here. They're not volunteering, they are paid by
like a contractor, so if something went wrong with the pool, we would have some recourse to go after these guys, even though they're residents. A little bit concerned about too many residents doing too many things around in this community. The sound system is another one. Seems like we have a lot of residents putting input into the sound system instead of just getting someone out here to fix the sound system for good and pay.
There is
anyway, I want to get on to my main point, which is the restaurant. So, in the spirit of transparency, are there still any legal actions against us, or are we taking any legal actions against Tuscany on the restaurant?
Yeah, we'll discuss that later. We're going to go through, I've got a little speech to make about the restaurant, so we'll cover that then.
Okay. One more thing on the restaurant. Is there going to be a voucher system put in place?
That is something I can't comment at this stage.
Why not?
It's still a discussion topic with the board. When that gets put forward, we'll announce it to you accordingly.
Okay, thanks.
Just go back on the couple of items there. The tractor was a purchased item by the softball people many years ago. And to my knowledge, they've always been responsible for doing their own infield raking. Yes, you could look at it as a safety issue, but then if you want other people, outside contractors, to do the raking for you in the same way as we get ABM to cut the grass, then it's a cost to the community. The current tractor I know is dangerous. Jay Wynn has explained that to us, I think, last year. It starts up in forward motion, and I've not seen the video, but I believe you actually kind of jump on it to work it. As far as using residents to take care of things and what the comeback is, yeah, you could say that's a risk, but it's also a saving. So you have to weigh the two matters up. John Stanek, who does the pool, he's an expert in water treatment and chemical treatment plants. That was his career, and we graciously accepted his offer of taking care of the pool last year. And I think every resident in the hall who goes swimming would say that the pool is probably in the best state it's ever been in for years. So that's a compliment to our people that clean the pool and their residents. They did a much better job than the people that we hired and paid nearly $3,000 a month to. I think it was. I can't remember the exact figure, but it was a very high figure. So that'd be my answer to that.
Raymond, could I just add something to that? You know, when you bring up the fact of residents helping, just remember that any resident that has a position like John and now Richard and Christine in the office, yes, they are residents, but they also were vetted through First Services, and they're employed by First Services. So if you're concerned about anything because they're residents and extra financial concerns for the community, there is none. The difference is you now have somebody doing the job that was qualified to do it, and they also have a personal interest to make sure the community looks nice. So you have a double plus there instead of just the plus of having somebody that knows how to do the job. You have somebody that knows how to do the job and cares about the community because they live here. That's my personal take on it.
Okay. Any other? No one else?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that one of the comments that has come from First Service, the recruiting area, is Ocala is not the same labor market as Tampa, Jacksonville, or Orlando. So we're a little bit more limited. Obviously, for certain jobs, people are not going to drive here an hour and a half from Orlando, depending upon how the traffic is on the turnpike. So we are limited, but if we do find very qualified people that actually live here, certainly they should be considered if the qualifications are there. And I think First Service has done a good job in looking at that as an option.
Yeah, very much agree to your points, and I find that, and we have interviewed outside folks as well as internal for these positions, and I find that the internal residents, it's the passion. The passion is like, especially with our new maintenance man, Dick, the passion is off the charts to make a lot of positive changes, and so I see it as a big win.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So last person up for the is Bill Kinder.
Good morning. I wanted, Bill Kinder, lot 882. I wanted to make a comment about the item 8E on the agenda, children living within units. I don't know if this was, item was directed at me, but I do have an exemption to the HOA rule about children living or visiting residents in their homes for more than 90 days a year. I've given you all a letter from my granddaughter's transplant physician, cardiologist, and since my last time here, we've had a little change in her condition. She's now going to Tampa General rather than Gainesville for care. They're reevaluating her situation, and she's gotten a little better, and we are no longer taking care of Aurora, or she's not in our home every day, day in and day out. We're splitting time, probably, we're keeping her overnight a couple times a week, maybe 3. And the rest of the time she stays with her mom in her home in Ocala. Now I know that the number of nights that she's staying with us is more than the allowable nights per year that children under 18 can visit. But because of our situation, I'd ask that the board, when and if you vote on this item, that you would continue to extend our exemption so that our great-granddaughter can have a better quality of life. We don't have many other options at this point. It's kind of us or our great-granddaughter would wind up going to DCFS. So I appreciate your time, and hopefully when you do vote, that you'll vote an extension for our exemption. Thank you.
Okay, just before you go, Bill, the actual item on children living units, it wasn't necessarily addressed just to you only. There are other people that I've been made aware of, and this is a workshop, it's not a vote.
I understand.
When we have 7 board members present, there'll be further discussion, and we'll assess each individual case. The ruling is actually 30 days. It's not 90 days, but that doesn't matter. In this situation, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
But thank you for coming up to the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was rather a long session. Okay, we'll move on now with the normal business.
Excuse me, Raymond, there's an item number 6. Did we skip over that one?
Well, I'm not skipping over. I just want to make an announcement before that. Sorry, it's my fault. I can make it now, or I can make it afterwards, but I'm going to do it now. Okay. It's just a special announcement. It's out of context with the agenda, but basically, I'd like to inform you all that last week our property manager, Mike Henry, submitted his notice to First Service. His last day in SummerGlen will be on Wednesday of next week, which is February the 5th. The board sincerely appreciates all the hard work that Mike has done during the past 7 to 8 months, and the positive and enthusiastic attitude that he has shown during that time. His work has created a foundation from which we can successfully move forward from. So he's not here, so I was actually going to stand up and give him a clap, but I want to say thank you for Mike for his efforts. Thank you. And just to add to that, First Service have begun the process of sourcing for a new SummerGlen General Manager, and input has been provided by the SummerGlen Board of Directors. An announcement will be made shortly with respect to our new Guardian. In the meantime, First Service upper management team are working directly with Kevin over there to ensure that current projects remain on track and achieve a smooth transition. Thank you. Now I'll move to the restaurant update. So it was with sadness that I discovered that Mike was leaving us. He informed me last Wednesday about this. Regarding the restaurant update, okay, so let's talk about that. As my friend Ray over there got very heated about that.
Passionate, I would use.
Okay. The lease has been delivered to our new partners and has initially been reviewed by, that's being Diane and Anthony. The document has been passed to their attorney and we're anticipating some feedback by the end of this week, hopefully. That may be delayed slightly because unfortunately Anthony's wife is heavily pregnant and you know, things happen. We might delay that process a little bit, but anyway. The electrical work that you mentioned is waiting final Marion County sign-off. I think that's still the case, but I'll talk to Kevin later. After that, the drywall is going to be fitted, and there's some new decorative panel which is going on. There's a kitchen deep clean due, and that will be done after some kitchen repairs have been fitted. And I'll ask Kevin, have you any more information from what I've said? I don't think there is any.
We received a new rotisserie.
Okay.
And also a new kegerator, so those are awaiting
Yeah.
installation.
Yeah. Okay. I saw those in the room. So thanks, Kevin, for the update. I'm going to move on now to. It will be the introduction of the new maintenance supervisor and office administrator. Well, Rich has done his act this morning. And we have a new office administrator. Her name is Saline, and I've lost her last name.
Lisa Saline.
Lisa Saline. Sorry, Lisa Saline. Oh, there you are. She's our new window person. So she's taken the role of Jodie. So please be nice to her for the first few weeks.
And Raymond, as I mentioned, I have to step out, so forgive me for that. But I will watch the replay to catch up.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you. Sorry, I understand where you're going.
Green Bay Packers, coffee, chocolate, come to my window. Good to see everybody. I live in lot 342, so I'm a resident, highly qualified, director of operations, ran multiple businesses. I'm happy to be here.
Okay, I'll just move a little bit further. And I'd just like to extend a thanks to everyone who's joined us here in the Grand Hall this morning. As you see, our meeting again is being recorded to be broadcast via link later on. I apologise for this inconvenience, but we're still having ongoing audio and video issues. One thing that Carol brought up, I'm just going to address it here. Carol, Tom Hutchins and Alan, of course, have been doing some updating and checking of the current system we have. And we don't know who they are, we have a vague idea who they are, but all their work they're doing is being tampered with. So whoever's doing it, can you please stop and let them continue with their work uninterrupted. And that concludes my statement this time. I am going to carry on now till about 11 o'clock, and I suggest we take a little break at 11 o'clock for about 5 minutes, if I may propose that.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. So now let's move on with the business end of the meeting. We'll talk about item 8A, which is the spa heater repairs. In our package, which I need to open, because I've got to close that now, because there's so much talking going on about other things. There's a proposal from Pitch Plumbing that John Stanek mentioned earlier. We have some repairs to be made, and this is to replace some flanges and gaskets, etc. In lieu of the need for this, I'd like to expedite this expenditure as quickly as we can. So I think we can probably do a unanimous consent form to get that done. Is that agreeable with everyone?
I agree. I mean, I agree, there's no purpose in holding up getting a space heater because we have to wait another week for a meeting, so let's do the unanimous, the vote, and do the unanimous and do it the proper way.
Tom, will that all be in reserve?
Yeah, this is really repairs and maintenance for
Okay.
the pool.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's something that it's routine, should come up, should not have to go through a lot of formal, analysis of it. Obviously, we've got a lot of pool heaters. We've replaced them recently, several years ago, but they're gonna require maintenance every single year probably. And this, to me, is normal maintenance.
So, Raymond, how can we push this forward faster?
We'll do it by unanimous consent.
Okay.
But just, he's gone. Kevin will get a form.
But that's only one heater. I'm talking about the other products that
Oh,
they're
well,
gonna make on this.
that's something we'll need to
Okay.
talk with Kevin
All right.
about, yeah.
Something has to be
Yeah,
taken care of.
there was a whole list that
Yep.
was brought
If
up.
we can get that list from you and the cost as soon as possible, I know it's going to be tough to have it at the next board meeting unless Diane will rubber stamp it, because it is an issue with health and everything else. So you got to go through Diane. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's, I think everyone's agreeable that needs to be done pretty urgently. Okay. The next item is the robotic pool cleaner. This also has been talked about extensively. I just have a few questions about it myself, and that is that obviously the intent is to save hours and hours of our pool maintenance guys doing the work. What is the proposed time in the pool for this item? And when would we put in?
I'm sorry, what is the question?
Yeah, sorry. If we have the robotic, sorry, John. Okay, my question is, we have two items in our package, and I think you've suggested we have the most expensive one, which we can get at a sales price.
Right.
That's great.
And that has to do with the size of the pool.
Yeah.
The less expensive one is.
Yeah, but that's acceptable. But I'm trying to determine when you would actually put this in the pool.
That unit is designed so that you program the cleaning time into the unit and you drop it in the pool. When that time comes on, which is going to be nighttime, it cleans the pool, it automatically maps it all, cleans it, it goes back to where you put it, that's considered its home. The next morning, they have a hook, you pull it out, you empty the debris out of it, you put it on charge, you put it back in the pool. It's as simple as that.
You need to know too that there's no hoses or anything, so if we have people coming, so it's all safe.
Yeah. What is the charging time? About 3.5 hours?
I think it's 3.5 hours.
Okay, fine.
So it's basically available 7 days a week on demand.
Correct.
So I would assume would it operate 7 days a week if needed?
Whatever we program it.
Whatever you program it.
Yeah, I clean the pool every evening in most cases, only because during the day it's difficult to see the bottom when people are using it and the water's all moving around and you just can't see it. So this unit we could clean at night, so every morning when people come to do the aerobics, the pool is clean. So it's just nice. It's just, I can't reach the center of the pool. There's no way to do it unless I get in the pool and try to vacuum it. And the vacuum that we have is just inadequate. And it's akin to me sending you guys out to play golf with no golf clubs. Or going to play baseball and giving you wiffle ball bats.
Yeah.
And that's what we have right now.
I would assume it has a life of probably 3 years.
I think the warranty is for 3 years.
For 3 years. It's a $2,200 item. It really isn't a capital expenditure. It's really a maintenance expense type item. And if it means we have to replace it every 3 years or so forth, it's a maintenance expense for the pool. You don't capitalize a $2,000 item for HOA our size.
Yeah, just to put it in perspective, the little vacuum cleaner that we have now is not made for commercial use. it runs for about 40 minutes, and then it takes 3 hours to charge it. When I clean the pool after a bad storm, I probably put realistically 20 hours trying to remove the leaves from the bottom of the pool. That sounds all right, except you can only do 40 minutes at a time.
So I would assume that your time gets reduced slightly, not trying to cut you out,
Oh,
but...
no, that's fine. I don't enjoy pushing that thing across the bottom of the pool.
I'm sure.
I'll be 75 years old and my arms don't like it.
Oh, you're a young guy, all right.
John?
I just think we need to make sure that when we do the budget, that these kind of repair type expenses are considered, whether it be once every 2 or 3 years, that we consider it, you know, because it really is a maintenance item as opposed to...
I don't think there's any pool that I know of that doesn't have some sort of way to vacuum the pool better than what we have.
Does it have any effect on the Marsite?
No, actually would keep it cleaner and extend the life of the Marsite.
Okay.
Okay, John, just for clarification, in the past, last fall, when we denied all the different ones, it turned out that none of them were large enough.
This one is designed for, I think, 3,400 square feet. Our pool is 3,500, but this one is designed to do the floor, the walls, and the surface. When I called the manufacturer and told him that we only wanted to do the floor, he said, when we rate these, we always underrate them. We're not going to rate them higher than what they can actually do. So he said, to do just the floor, you're fine with this unit.
Okay, so you're looking to do just the floor with it, or is it something where you can program it, you do the floor one night and the next night you do the walls or something like that?
Maybe you can. I haven't seen the book on it.
Okay, so it would be used strictly for the floor.
But since I've been maintaining it, before I maintained it, we had to scrub the sides of the pool with a steel brush every couple days, which doesn't help the life of the Marsite. Since I've been maintaining it, I have not cleaned the sides of the pool for 5 months. That's how clean we're keeping it.
Thank you for that.
But I can't get the bottom because I can't get to it.
John, we also have a 30-day trial.
Yes.
It can be sent back if it doesn't work. We have 30 days to return it. And I think it's a 3-year contract or a warranty on it.
Yeah, it's almost a no-lose. You try it for 30 days, if you don't like it, you send it back.
Send it back, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think we're all, I think we're all quite happy that seems to be a bonus for the pool cleaning. Okay, thank you. The next item on our agenda is the board meeting times. It's just come up to 11 o'clock and I'm afraid my bladder's taken the best of me. So I'm going to take a 5-minute break if that's possible, and we'll come back and discuss that. Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the proposal to change the board meeting times. This was actually made by a board member, basically because that board member is it still remains as a working member in the community. Historically, the board has met in the mornings every month for both workshops and full board meetings, and town halls have been held in the evenings. The actual board approval of these items normally takes place at our first board meeting, but because of the intervention of a board member, we kind of held it over until a discussion amongst ourselves today. It's worth noting that although board members are requested to attend meetings, it's not necessarily a compulsory order. There are situations whereby this may not be possible, vacations, doctor's appointments, unforeseen emergencies, etc. And also, obviously, work commitments in the case today we have of Mike and Russ. Phone-ins can be arranged. Sometimes these are not necessary, sometimes they are. When it's an important vote, then these things take place. So if there's a particular matter, let's say, that needs that board member's attention, then we normally ask that board member to phone in. So that is, I would leave it to discuss amongst ourselves, really. I mean, we had some comments from the floor about this. I think somebody said, I think Roland it was when he was here, said, well, I'd like it later in the morning for me. There's always, and I don't want to be rude when I say this, there's always a me situation in this. You know, I want this, I want that. And I think that exists a lot in the community. Certain people want this and certain people want that. You know, I want a nice golf course, I want a nice restaurant, I want this. And yes, we'll want things, but we don't always get our own way. So these things have to be treated carefully, looked at, reviewed, and obviously when there's some benefit to the community, yes, it'll get done. But if there's a negative benefit to the community, then it won't get done. So that's my take on it. I'll leave some discussion there amongst ourselves as to this.
Right. I looked at the calendar closely, and the only option we would have to do an evening meeting seems to be a Monday night, and that displaces the least amount of people that are currently booked for Monday nights. So I don't know how seriously we have to consider it, but we also have to think about the fact, would more people then? So what I've been thinking is, maybe it's something that we test for a month or two and see how it goes, and maybe it'd only be the actual voting meeting that we move, not just the voting and the workshop or something. I don't know. From a community standpoint, which would work best for the community? I mean, it's nice to try to accommodate a couple board members, but we also need to think of the community and what best serves the community for being able to attend or choosing to attend. And I don't know the answer to that. Anybody else have any thoughts?
Lynn, my first thought, I kind of agree with trying it, but my first thought is change the normal, or not change the normal the voting meeting. I would leave, I mean, it's always been, since I've been here, you know, that second Thursday, 9:30 in the morning. And I think board members, if you run for office, you know your commitment for that meeting. As far as the workshops, I might try the workshop in the evening, maybe on a Monday night.
Okay.
If we thought it I don't think you're going to see a difference in attendance personally. Yeah. And I really think we need to get this YouTube issue solved sooner than later. I mean, I appreciate the videotaping, but the beauty of the YouTube, you can either watch it live or you'll be able to watch this later. You can watch it in bits and pieces because we're in a marathon meeting today. And quite often we're in marathon meetings. So people like to watch it in bits and pieces, I believe. Or fast forward through the boring part, which is probably me. But that being said, I would not move our normal voting meeting. That would not be my preference. That's just
that makes sense to me, John. Thank you.
Dan, you got a comment?
Yeah, I kind of agree with John. The Thursday morning 9:30 meeting for a voting meeting, I would play around with the workshops or things like that, you know, and see how that works, you know.
Well, that would be fair to everyone.
I mean, just remember, we've had in the past a Thursday night or Wednesday night, probably a Wednesday night board meeting workshop for the budget.
Right.
And if we got 25 people physically in here, we did good. Okay, now maybe we had more on YouTube, but you would think a budget meeting once a year would be standing room only, but only the golf and the restaurant get that kind of attention. The budget doesn't. So I'm not sure it would make a big difference in the evening, you know.
Okay, so if we kept the actual voting meeting, monthly meeting as is, and then the workshop, maybe that could be changed based on the need for the extra attendance or whatever, and tested once or twice and see how it goes.
Yeah, I think, I really don't think you're going to get, whatever times you change, I don't think you get the number of residents attending live is going to increase. Just an opinion. I think the only time when you get a lot of residents in here is when there's an item that's of particular interest, as happened with the high school, as happened with the restaurant. But they were both town halls, and they were in the evening, and people came to them in droves. I'm actually in favour of what you've suggested and what John suggested. Keep our voting meeting to a Thursday, and maybe give the workshops a try in the evening. I'm not against that. People will then maybe if they want to not come or not come. It's a difficult thing. I mean, 2 meetings a week in the morning, 2 meetings a month in the morning maybe is too much for people to stomach. I don't know. I don't know whether you're going to get an increase in numbers. Most of the committee meetings are in the mornings, DRB's in the morning, F&G's in the committee. Some of the meetings are in the afternoon, I think. I know your finance one's in the afternoon, isn't it, Tom? Tom?
Yes.
Your finance is in the afternoon, yeah. Sorry, yeah. So I know the CERT meeting I went to last week was in the afternoon. So some are in the morning, some in the afternoon. So I think personally it might help our lives if we did that, because we wouldn't be chained to a day in the week. It'd be in the evening. But I can tell you that in preparation for this meeting, we all do a lot of work. And I have a 9-page script I have to prepare, which took me about 2.5, 3 hours to write yesterday and put some words down. So I know I put my 4 pennies worth in, and I'm not playing my own tune. I appreciate this. I'm sitting here because I want to feel responsible for doing something in this community. But yesterday morning I had a meeting at 9:30, and I didn't get home until 2 o'clock. Now I know Jeff at the back there, he did the same thing. He actually did more hours than I do, but this is what we do, and all volunteers do the same thing. That's probably why a lot of people don't step forward, because they've got other things that they want a life. Us up here, we don't get a life. So anyway, I think that's something for us to consider. Anyway, I'll stop on that one and probably move on to the next item. Bill Kinder came up this morning with respect to his situation of children, his child Aurora living in his house. But it's been brought to my attention that there are other people. In fact, there's one I'm aware of. Apparently, in speaking to Dan just a little while ago, there are other people in the community that are underage and flaunting our regulations. If you want me to read the regulation, I will. But basically, it says that any person who's under 18 years of age. Any resident under 18 years cannot reside as a guest for more than 30 days. So, we are an adult community, and we want to sort of keep it for adults. I mean, I'm sure. Yeah, I know you guys got grandchildren and so forth, and mainly they come probably for a week, 2 weeks at a time. So, I mean, that's kind of okay. But when you have someone who hides their children away in the house for days on time and months on time, it's kind of wrong. So it's those things that we need to take care of. So that's my kind of viewpoint on it. We need to uphold our covenants and regulations. I'll leave it to any other board members for them to comment.
Okay, my point of view is this. When you moved here, it was a 55 plus community. Obviously, for medical reasons of some kind that are definitely documented, a little bit of heart has to play a role in how we enforce something. But if you're just blatantly encouraging your children to bring home their children and stay at your house, that's no. So bottom line is, we owe it to the rest of the community to look at each one of these situations that's brought to our attention individually and make the right decision for the community, and as much as we can, accommodate the individual resident when possible. And we can't just violate our own rules and regulations without doing some of the hard case where we say absolutely not. And by the same token, in all fairness to everyone, we do have to look at things that are medical and are documented by somebody other than just the resident. If you have something that you feel you're entitled to have that child here for medical reasons, and you bring us a note from a doctor, that's a lot different than you saying to us, well, my grandchild is here because Johnny Jones is threatening my grandchild. I don't know what the different thoughts would be that would come to us. But there's, we do have a heart, we do care, but by the same token, it's our job to say no when it's appropriate, because we do have to do what our rules and regulations say. So please, as we go forward, if you know somebody, go into First Services, tell them you know somebody, you know where they are, the lot number. Your name does not get turned into that neighbor or that friend. What happens is it gets looked at and it comes to the board. So like Raymond said, Dan said there's 4 or 5 in here. We only know of 2 at this point. So obviously, we need to know if they're out there, because we cannot go out and search every individual house to see if you have a child hidden in there that you're taking out in such a manner that people don't realize it. So please, bring them to First Services in the office, and you can do it confidentially, and let's get this addressed once and for all, so that if they shouldn't be here, they're not here. And if there is a real reason for them to be here that's documented properly, we will give it serious consideration. I can't tell you what the result will be because I don't know. There's 7 of us that'll vote. But please, trust us enough to tell us if you're bringing a child in, and then also give us the reason and have it documented, somebody other than just yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, the only concern I have is that obviously there are extenuating circumstances, but they can't go on forever. They can't become permanent. And, the one that we've been confronted with the last year or 2 looks like it's out of our control because it's not up to us, okay? We have no control over the situation. That's not a good situation to be in. There's got to be some kind of permanent solution and, resolving the problem for the long run. The answer is not every 6 to 8 months. Oh, we got to roll it over. That could go on for 5 years, and that's really not something that, we have to look at it, In other cases where it's being abused, one thing we don't and have never done at SummerGlen is exercised a violation fine. Okay, it is in our documents, I understand. The only thing we would have to do is have established a committee that would meet only if someone contested a violation. But there are people here that don't follow the rules on purpose. And the answer is, nobody cares. Roll it over, I'll take care of it whenever I get around to it. Well, maybe if they got a fine, and I've been at HOAs where people have gotten fined, and you'd be surprised how quickly people resolve the issue when all of a sudden $100 is added frequently to their assessment for a fine. And we've never used that, but when somebody abuses a situation, then maybe we need to look at that as an option. Otherwise, legally, we have to spend legal money to resolve it. fines do help. We've never done that, I believe, here at SummerGlen, but we are allowed to do it, and maybe down the road, that's something we should consider for people who abuse our policies, and that includes maintenance of the property and so forth. Okay, some people just say, I don't care, I'm not gonna worry about it.
Actually, it's $100 a day with a max of $1,000. And I think the state of Florida reduced that $1,000 to $500 now.
I think in the cases of abuse of our policies, we maybe need to consider that. Otherwise, our only option is what? Go to court, and we have to go through that involvement, you know?
Right.
So I understand that the second issue is probably one more of abuse, from what I understand. Okay. Maybe the answer is that they get a certified letter from the attorney, and maybe we institute the fining process. I think the only thing we need to do is establish a committee that would meet if necessary. We did have one in the previous HOA. I don't think they met more than once in a 2 or 3 year period, because people just said, okay, I'm gonna pay it, okay? And I'm gonna resolve the issue, okay? So maybe that's something we need to look at.
John, no comment. Yeah, so basically, you appreciate that we have a situation, a serious situation, which you know how you resolve it on a case-by-case basis, or you, as Thomas just suggested, you levy fines. But I think come our board meeting, you know, next in about 2 weeks' time, I think we need to have in place some idea of what way moving forward. I think if it's a direct abuse, which I think in the case I have in the packet is direct abuse, then I think then fines should be levied. It's tough. You know, I look at it from both sides. You know, and it's a tough situation. But as I think you said that, you know, we are in a over 55 community. We have rules. You know, you can't just, you know, change the rules to suit yourself. You know, if we had that, you know, probably the Kansas City Royals wouldn't be in the Super Bowl or something. I don't know. You know, it's you know, you got to have some decorum. Some rules are there. Yeah, sometimes they're made to be broken, but basically they're there to protect ourselves. Okay, I won't spend any more time anymore. Even okay.
No, I just think, Raymond, what we should do is some of the new senior people that are now involved with us from First Service can walk us through that process and help us with that situation. I mean, we've met with 2 new people, a vice president and a regional
director.
Administrator over the people here. They certainly have the ability to assist us.
Yeah, I mean they will. I mean we're just a small cog in their operation, so they would have had the experience of this in other communities. So that would be probably a good idea to get rather than take that upon ourselves. Let's involve them. Okay. I think Carol Steck made some interesting points about 8F, and I'll be honest with you, I did skip read this yesterday. I read page by page by page by page. So I saw the update done, and I thought, oh, okay, this is just a general update and so forth. So please don't blame us for something that's been inherited. So I it's something that obviously we need to go through in greater detail. Now, whether we want to do that today, I don't know whether you guys want to do that today or whether you want to go page by page or...
No, I think Kevin was taking notes as Carol was pointing out some of the stuff. So I think Kevin will go through the whole documents and make those changes.
Yeah.
I don't think we have to do this.
No, I don't think so neither. So I did, in my preparation yesterday afternoon, I did go through this. I did skip read. I saw the red things. Like, yeah, okay, well, and if I'm bad in doing that, no, I apologise. But that's on me. But yeah, I think Kevin will get it adjusted.
Maybe Carol and Diane could, when they actually went through the operating rules and regulations, obviously we didn't get all your points here. If you could send us a quick note with the things with like the number and the issue that you had with it, that would help us to determine what we had to discuss when we have the meeting next week.
Yeah, next 2 weeks' time. Yeah, we will go through this. Obviously, it'll be a waste of time for us to go. I think you'll be here till 5 o'clock this evening. Went through all these documents page by page. So I'm suggesting if you what Evelyn's said, if you do have corrections, just say page 5, paragraph 5B, spelling mistake or something, and that'll help us. Okay, thank you. I think then we'll move on then to item 8G. Oh, sorry, have you?
Did we get the pickleball club proposal for updates for court usage?
That's what I'm doing now, 8G.
Yeah, you're going to do
I've
that.
got a copy, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Because I looked through that, and there's a couple of things I did spot. Under the court usage on when you flip the page over, it says courts shall be used exclusively for pickleball during scheduled playtime. Court 3 may be used for basketball and it's not being used for pickleball. And the other piece was just at the very top of that, and that is tennis has priority for the shared courts. The basketball people, when we took half their court away a few years back, we promised them that anybody that wanted to play basketball had priority over pickleball. So to say in here, pickleball scheduling it takes priority away. My understanding is some residents had family here visiting, and the grandfather was out playing basketball with the grandsons, and he was verbally accosted by some pickleball people, told to leave. They were going to play pickleball. So we need to make sure, we promised tennis that they would always have priority for their short court. I would like somebody to put the schedule in front of the tennis people, because that is an actual club, and have the tennis people say they're okay with it and it's not infringing on something they have planned. Because we promised them that when we took over that one court, that they would always have priority for scheduling the court. So I think we just want verification from tennis that it's not an issue for them.
Yeah, I think we need to keep in mind that the pickleball court, the basketball court, the tennis courts are an amenity of SummerGlen.
Mm-hmm.
They do not belong to a club.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. The SummerGlen HOA should be responsible for it. Again, the two dedicated pickleball courts are not owned by the pickleball club.
Right.
Okay, they're owned by the SummerGlen HOA. Okay, so in many cases, HOAs have a individual, and we did not select that in the presentation, of having a lifestyle who would coordinate some of these things. But we got to be careful that all of a sudden groups aren't in charge of something that they shouldn't be in charge of. Okay, and we need to manage it fairly for everybody. These are amenities of the whole community, not an amenity of any one club.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's right, and that's what I'm saying. I'm looking at the schedule, and the schedule is making certain times an amenity of pickleball. And I'm just saying, I think we need to be careful that pickleball has 4 courts, correct? Or they have 2 and 2.
Yeah.
So they have 4 courts. Tennis has 2 courts. I know a lot less people play, but I still think, you know, the groups have to work together. So before we approve a schedule here, I don't know why we're approving a schedule as a board. And I think it's because they are shared courts. And if you share a court, then you should be making sure that the other group that shares that court with you is okay with what you're doing.
Well, there's two permanent pickleball courts. Then the basketball or sports court can be used for another 2 pickleball courts. Pardon, one? For only be used
Basketball's
for 1.
one.
Okay.
Tennis is 2.
2 on the tennis courts. But again, these are not amenities of any individual club.
Right.
They're a SummerGlen amenity and need to be managed appropriately.
I mean, I look at the schedule, and yes, you're quite right that the tennis people do need to be involved and see if this is in akin to their liking. I think I don't really have a problem with personally I have a problem with the pickleball having a specific time to use the courts that they use. Providing you don't get that situation that did occur. I heard about someone being very unruly with some residents who want to play basketball. I think we should speak to Kevin and see and also speak to the tennis people and see what if this is a fair solution.
Right.
Would you go, Laura?
That's what I'm saying. I just think
Yeah.
we need to verify that both clubs are okay with the scheduling.
Yeah.
And if they're not, they have to work out the details on it.
Have you talked to the pickleball or the tennis? Have you talked to them?
Yeah, they always look at the schedule.
Yes.
Nothing interferes with anything the tennis club has done. We always run it by them. What are you going to do about softball?
That's right.
Situation?
Yeah.
You can
You're coordinating with them. You're not just taking over the courts, as people are saying. You're actually coordinate with them, and it's fair for them and it's fair for you.
That is correct.
That's what I thought.
Again, you look at the green portion, it's open to anybody.
Right.
It includes the basketball. There's plenty of time to play basketball.
Yep.
Okay, so if everything that's green is open to everybody, then everything that's green should say open play for all residents.
That's what she just suggested, and I said that's more than happy to do that.
It says here, open play.
Okay. Yeah, it says for all levels. That means it's pickleball.
But they also should, during open play, everybody should, according to worldwide national pickleball associations, you restrict your usage to a court. So there's an open use standards or policy. You either have a limited an hour, let's say, to play on that court, or it's till your game is over with, then you allow the next people that are waiting to pick up and play on that court. That's open use policy worldwide.
Right.
Can I just,
Well, I was going to make a comment first. If it's okay.
okay.
Since it's our meeting, kind of.
no, I understand, I want you to be aware of, part of the problem is we have 2 different policies,
Right.
both that kind of overlap. And that's something Richard and I have been talking about, because he was asking, well, which one do you update? The policy that he submitted, you know, is part of a bigger one that says policy for defining use and responsibility for amenities. And then we have the other one that was on the agenda, which is the operating rules and regulations for SummerGlen clubs and activity groups. The whole concept of reserving time and who approves the schedule, et cetera. You need to have one policy in one place, and the other policy should refer to it, because the one on use of amenities does, under the sports, talk about the outdoor, like the softball field, the tennis courts, that the club can reserve those for scheduled I think it talks about teams or competitions or whatever. Other than that, it is for resident use. So they need to be looked at both together.
Raymond?
Right.
What I see on this spreadsheet under the open play, it almost says, okay, court 1 and 2 are dedicated pickleball courts. And it says 3 if basketball is not being used. It also should say 4 and 5 if no tennis is being played. Because 4 and 5 is on a tennis court, to Tom's point, being an amenity. So when you read this, it says, in my mind, it says, okay, it's open play all levels, but we're using 1, 2, 4, and 5. Too bad, tennis players. You've got 1 tennis court to play on. You don't have 2. So I think that could become controversial down the road. Suddenly, if we had a bunch of tennis players.
Right.
So I would like to see it, whenever it says open play, and if the tennis people are okay with the scheduled play, that's fine. But whenever it says open play, it should be 3, 4, and 5 if they're not being used by other activities. That's all. That's where I'm at. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and that's what I think they're doing now, is checking with tennis to make sure there's no tennis players going on.
This almost gives pickleball priority over tennis.
That's not what you're looking for, correct? No, I didn't think so.
The way I read, but when I read it, it says courts 1, 2, 4, and 5 open play. And 4 and 5 is on a tennis court.
They're saying open play because that means anybody that wants to play.
No, this is a pickleball schedule.
I understand.
Not a tennis schedule.
I understand.
So that's, the way I read it, it's a problem. It could be, I'm not saying it's a problem today, but it could develop into a problem.
So we just need more clarification.
Pick me one that you're talking about, which day?
Anytime you have open play, you're allowing 4 and 5 to be used. Anywhere in green, you reference 4 and 5 open play,
Well,
which is fine if it's not being used for tennis, but you don't have first dibs on 4 and 5.
Okay,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
and I can give you an example. I went out yesterday morning or the day before early, and there was nobody playing on the tennis courts, on the pickleball courts, but there was people playing pickleball over on the tennis court. And the pickleball courts were wide open. So that's the kind of thing that causes bad feelings between residents. So if any way we can cut down on that, we really would like to. And I like John's idea, take 4 and 5 out of there, make it open play for 1 and 2, but if 4 and 5 are available and somebody wants to play, there's nothing going to stop them from it.
And that's what you encounter.
Yeah, I would also think if the 2 pickleball courts, which are designed for pickleball, if they're empty, that should be where people go first. They shouldn't go to the tennis court because they like the tennis court area when the 2 pickleball courts are empty. Because somebody riding by that may want to play tennis, say, oh, I can't go, it's being used. Okay? I mean, used what's available for pickleball first.
I think Richard just needs a clarification of wording, and I think everyone will be happy then.
What do you think about that, Russ? Russ agrees.
It's like everything we say, it's the way we say it.
Is everyone happy on that?
Yeah,
Okay.
John's corrections to
Okay.
it sounded very good.
Okay, let's move on to, again, another item that has been discussed earlier. The pavers around the picnic table and pathways at the pickleball court areas. This is basically a leftover from last year. In the packet, actually, it talks about some rendering, which is in the packet actually. But I think basically what we need to do is get an estimate for this. I think the The reason this is a leftover, and Diane can correct me, is that we were trying to bundle, I think, 3 projects last year because one was a small one and 2 were big ones, and in the end I think one of the big ones got done and one of the small ones didn't get done, and this is one of the small ones that didn't get done. So I think now we've got to take it, take a bite and chunk out of this and get some estimates done and possibly move forward with it.
Yep.
Is that basically good? Okay.
Yeah,
So
this has come up before.
Yeah.
And I think where we get in trouble is where we don't do it right the first time. And I can tell you, I've had a lot of work done on pavers. You've got to get a company that does it correctly.
Well, we try to do it in-house, and that's not the proper way to do it.
That's
You're
the way.
absolutely right.
You got to put down gravel, sand, you got to compact it with a machine.
Yep.
Normally the collar around it is not plastic with spikes. It's a concrete collar, so it's permanent and it doesn't move. There's got to be enough people in this Ocala area that can do that and give us good quotes, because that's the right way to do it. Before we didn't do it the right way, and now it's a safety hazard.
Just, I'm gonna come out of left field here. Softball's next. Anyways, what if you did away with pavers and just had grass? I mean, it would get worn out, I understand that. But it's cheaper.
Oh, it is.
Have you ever thought about just grass? Do away with the pavers?
They did that, John, prior to putting the pavers down. That's what we had. Rains, you get mud and dirt, right? Yeah, it turns into dirt.
That's what I figured.
But the other cheap way is what Tom may be bringing up. Why don't we just put cement there?
Can we?
Oh, that's right, you can't. I'm sorry. Sorry, Diane, you're right. Thank you very much. I forgot about that.
We could at midnight, but they'll catch us.
Yeah, pavers set in sand correctly don't really go into that impervious.
Okay. So we'll get some estimates for that, and then we'll move forward. Okay. Next item is 8I. Jay's already spoken about this, but it's the another CRF for the software maintenance tractor. The deal was last year when this was discussed was that the softball people would put up $5,000, and they were asking for the board to supply $15,000 or more. I'm not sure, Tom, whether we actually put this money aside to do this, or
I believe we did
We did do it,
budget some
yeah, okay.
room in for 2025.
Okay.
Right.
The concern I have is when we originally talked about it, it was necessary for the grading of the infield. Okay, now all of a sudden I've heard comments that, well, the grass is a problem, it's not being maintained.
Oh no, that's something else. That's another CRF. That's out on the
That's a
outfield.
separate piece of
pieces. No. It's this is infield. There's another
This tractor is for the
infield.
infield.
Yeah.
Okay.
The CRF. There's another CRF out there for weeds that are going onto the softball pitch from outside the fence, and they're migrating into the field onto the track that was laid down. So that's a separate CRF. We'll get to that one.
This CRF is for the tractor to grade the infield,
yes.
which is dirt, not grass, obviously.
And I believe they do it, like they'll have 3 games, if I'm not mistaken, they'll do it
In between games.
Right?
Now, what happens when there's no softball being played, the season is over with? Does that tractor just sit idle?
I don't have any.
You store it.
No, we use it, we play year round.
Every Saturday, right?
Pickups, we're always working on the field to make sure it's in proper, and during the summer is when we'll tear up the field to try to get more of the clay from underneath to make it better.
Okay, so it's not used just during the normal softball season?
Obviously, it's less used during the summer.
But I understand.
But it will be definitely used, I guarantee you that.
Yeah, actually, these guys are actually saved us money because, I mean, we have guys to cut the grass, but these guys can take care of the infield. I mean, otherwise, you'd need a maintenance contract to take care of that each time, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So the machinery is actually operated by the softball club.
And we actually did, we did approve the
Yep,
budget,
that's
and
what I
it is a
thought.
budgeted item, so I don't see where it
They
takes a
should have
lot.
the go-ahead to.
I don't see where it's a lot of conversation
I
as
think-
far as questions.
Yeah, I think it's budgeted. I think at the next board meeting, I think we should just pass it and then let them go ahead and go to all the various auctions in Florida and Georgia.
And what I'll need to work with, in all seriousness, dealing with HOAs, I'll need to work with Kevin to
Yes.
come up with kind of, I don't want to say a policy, that's the word I use, but an agreement on how we look at, we're not just going to get it off the internet and say, let's buy that and find out it's a piece of crap.
Yeah, no, I think you need some, well, from the financial side, I don't know how that's something that will be worked out, but I don't know whether you have any operating procedures laid down, because at the moment you just work it yourselves. One or two, I don't know how many. I think you said there's one or two of you know how to work it.
There's 2 of us right now
Yeah.
working,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I think.
But I'm sorry to interrupt you, but every team should have a member that knows how to use it in case we're not there.
Okay. Well, specifically, I think these procedures should be written down somewhere. Okay. Because I think in the event of you falling off the tractor or someone else, we need to protect the HIA from a big lawsuit. So I think there needs to be some operating procedures that are adhered to. So that's something I'd recommend that you get together with, or to write, and us as a board will probably look at it and agree them.
Just so I understand, we're being asked to set aside $15,000, and $5,000 will be added to that
Yes.
from the softball association. So if something costs us 20, okay, the 15 and the 5 are which covers the 20.
Yeah.
Now, what if something is found that's 15? Is the first 5 the softball, and I would assume
Yeah,
that
they're
would be.
putting up.
They've been. My understanding is they've been very generous in supporting their own.
Jay,
I'm sorry.
I'm assuming that the first 5,000 comes from the softball association, and then if needed, up to 15 would come from the HOA. Is that correct?
Yeah, we can do it that way. It's been discussed through our board.
I mean, if something only costs us 15 in total, it would be 5 and then 10 from the HOA.
Yes.
Yeah, yes. And I say it hesitantly, but yes.
Jay, I got two. I got two.
Just trying to understand clearly,
No, that has been a discussion with our board on when we okayed the 5,000. Did it mean what you're saying, or did it mean that if it went 17, we'd only come up with 2? So
yeah.
Jay, I got 2 questions. Did you ever talk to ABM to see if they have outlets for tractors?
yes, I did.
Okay.
I did talk to the one guy that was here when he first got here. He said he had a contact in Georgia when he left. They do not have a contact except for new.
Okay, I would recommend that you talk to Clay from ABM.
Okay.
He's the area manager. I can give you that information. Also, have you looked at a new one? What's the difference between the 20,000 and a new one? Just out of curiosity.
The new ones we came across that we would need, I mean, I even put in there almost a $50,000 one. We don't need that. That's a waste.
I hope not.
That's a waste of money. What we need is about anywhere from 28 to 30,000.
Okay.
If you can find it.
Okay.
Yeah, there was. I remember in last year's packet, you'd actually put in the new ones in there.
And we're not just stuck on John Deere. I've been told even by ABM, Toro's a pretty good brand, So there are 2 or 3 other brands, but Toro and really John Deere are the two nicer ones.
Tom,
I have it.
Tom, when we are ready to make the motion, when we're ready to make the motion next week at the meeting, we can just make the motion so it states that the first 15K is paid by the softballers.
No,
The first 5K, sorry guys. The first 5K is paid by the softball association, and the balance up to 15,000
That
is
is
paid by
correct.
the HOA. As long as we do it that way, we covered both sides.
Okay.
And that is a community improvement, okay, because it's not an existing thing, really. Eventually, Kevin, it would be added as a reserve item going forward, but the initial purchase would be a community improvement.
Yeah.
And then any replacement down the road could be, you know, a reserve item.
Okay.
Okay, all good on that one? Okay.
Yes.
Yep, okay. Now to Tom's point, outside of the softball pitch, there have been weeds have been growing there continuously, and Rick Vetter, I don't think he's here, he's probably disappeared, but
Golfing.
he's golfing, okay. He's, yeah, lucky him. He's been going out there with, and I shouldn't really be making this statement, but someone's been going out there with a weed gun and spraying the weeds, trying to keep them down. Obviously, you know, this is time and effort, and it's really only a short-term solution. So there was a CRF written to try to put either a weed barrier mulch or rock plus edging. Now, in our package, in our packet, there are two estimates, one from Spofford and one from Floralawn. Both quote reasonable prices, but they're not identical quotes. It all centres about, you know, obviously the most expensive solution would be the rock solution over the mulch. For me, long term, I think rock would be much better than mulch, because you're going to be buying mulch every 3 to 4 years or so, every 1. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a mulch fan personally. I'm more of a rock person in more ways than one. I think it's something that needs to be done, because we're just making more. The softball pitch will end up having a lot of weeds just creeping into it, and having spent all that sort of money on it, you know, we don't want to go through a situation having to
This is the area.
It's the area outside
the fence, the outfield.
Okay, you have the softball pitch there. Then you have like a running track. I don't know what they call it.
Who maintains that property now?
ABM manage the cutting of the grass. Floron manage outside.
So why are we paying Floralawn extra to repair something they're not maintaining?
Well, we're not actually going to be. Well, yeah, good point.
I mean, we're saying you're not maintaining it, but we're going to help you. We're going to give you another $8,000 to put down stones. I don't understand that.
I think that's a very good point, actually, Tom. I don't think about that. But I think that the quality of grass you have there, you're going to be forever putting weed treatment down there. So it's whether you keep on putting weed treatment down there, or whether you do it once and for all and say, okay, let's put rock down, or mulch would be obviously the cheaper alternative. You've got to stop that. Those weeds grow prolifically. And from what I'm told by my friend Rick, is that you know, he's been going out there on a monthly basis, you know, just getting these weeds cut down. I agree with you entirely. I mean, why should we give Florida money to put it right? Yeah, it's a good point.
I rode around the whole field this morning on my golf cart, so if anybody saw me, don't turn me in. They're doing a good job, I guess. There are no weeds. So you have the warning, I call it a warning track. And I guess it's like it's gravel.
Yeah.
whatever you want to call it. That actually extends through the fence line.
In places.
Well, the whole field, all the way around the outfield. Probably 10 to 12 inches. And then you have, well, we won't call it grass, but
Mud.
but I don't see why Florilon can't just do the weed spraying.
Right.
It looks fine today, but it isn't weed season per se. But I don't think we need to Tom's point, I don't understand spending $10,000 when all we need, when Florilon should just go out there and treat that area, spray that fence line so that the weeds don't grow into the warning track.
Yeah, John, I'm gonna walk it with, am I on?
Yeah.
It's off.
Stand by. Yeah, things dead. I'll walk it with Florilon next time he's here. He's here at least once a week. The new supervisor who's been on duty for about, just a few months now. I will walk it with him and get his thoughts on that in terms of, do we just keep spraying this or, it'll be new eyes on this. So let me see what I find out.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think we've got to do a better job making Florilon accountable to some areas. I mean, it's like the grass outside the tennis courts. The center of that area has never been great. Why should we pay them extra to put something in there? We should make them do the right job to begin with, or at least do it better than they're currently doing it.
I'll walk that with him as well.
I'm not sure, but I don't think any of the common areas are fertilized. I may be wrong. They are fertilized? All the common areas?
Yeah, Florilon has a company that comes in and does it.
Oh, okay.
You'll see those little white signs.
Okay.
Common area.
Thank you, Diane.
Yep.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll leave it and get some feedback then from that.
I'll report back.
Well, yeah, we'll get back from there. Okay, thank you. Okay, so next thing, again, we've had discussion over this, over the illegal movement of softball benches and so forth. Yeah, I don't know how to describe that actually. There is a CRF up there for 6-foot benches, listening to the condition of the benches, that some are rusted, some are corroded, some have not been bolted into the foundation properly. The cost of these is about $3,500, so I have in the packet. So I think these do need replacing. So I think it's something we will look at and possibly approve at our next meeting.
I think we already had all the discussion.
Yeah, so I'm not going to go into meeting.
Years ago, a lot of the benches were metal coated with plastic.
Yep.
And once the plastic breaks and the rust comes through, there's nothing you can do to fix it. I've had those in other HOAs, and the only option is to replace them with the composite material.
Right, and if we replace them with the same ones we put on shuffleboard, that one has a very extended warranty of years.
We should try and keep it looking
And it'll look nice
consistent,
too.
I would think.
Yeah, I believe the ones that they picked were the same as previously selected.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Okay.
As long as we have the proper count, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Proper table and chair count. Okay, so I think we know where we're going there. So the next item, 8L, is the Social Committee Fashion Show. Now I believe there was already a comment made about it making a loss before we even start. Michael's not here, so my proposal is to let him be here when we maybe discuss this.
Good idea.
Is everyone in agreement with that? He's a social club liaison, so.
Well, I'm looking at it and I don't see where it
Well,
says for a loss.
I didn't.
Because it shows that they're expecting to sell $3,600 worth of tickets. And when I look at the total expense, it's $3,328. So I don't see.
A small loss. I think that for me, I didn't know. Again, with Michael not being here, I didn't know whether this was a supplementary show to the one that's held in October. because normally it's, I think is it October?
Okay, they are.
October, I don't, maybe someone could probably right. There is a fashion show normally towards the end of the year.
Yeah, you know, the fashion show's been successful for years. I can tell you, my wife's been there every year for the past 4 or 5 years. Initially, it started out with chicken salad type sandwiches, and everybody seemed thrilled with that, and the price was much less, and people had a great time. Last year and now this year, we want to upgrade it to pasta fare. Well, we're not trying to give more business to pasta fare. We're trying to have a nice fashion show for the people that attended. But the cost of pasta fare, the ticket price is actually less than what it costs per person on pasta fare. Because a $25 ticket is not $25. It's $23 and change because of sales tax. Okay, so we're actually paying pasta fare more per resident than the resident is paying. Now, it's not a big deal, but the whole goal of everything is that all this should break even. And it actually, in prior years, maybe not last year, but the years before, it was actually a moneymaker to some extent to cover some of the other areas where we have expenses only. So and then I see a slip here that says reimbursement summary $200. I hope someone hasn't put up a deposit of $200 confirming an arrangement that hasn't been approved by the board, because we're back to not following the procedure again. And I got to tell you, that drives me crazy when we don't do that.
Okay,
It says the deposit is required on March 1st.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like they did the
Yeah,
deposit.
I hope not.
Michael's not here to defend himself, Tom, so what I'm going to suggest is
I would hope not,
No,
because
I'm
we've
sure-
had that problem before.
I'm sure he hasn't. Let's pass on this and debate this. I think all I was trying to find out was whether it's a show to replace the one we have in October, or this is a brand new show. I was just wondering.
What is it?
It's always in the spring.
It's always in the spring. Is it? What's the one at the end of the year then?
It's just a showcase, I guess.
show is always in November.
What? Fashion show is in November? No.
I don't know, I've gone to the,
Okay, we'll discuss it later on when Michael comes back.
I have no clue.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, I've gone to the fashion shows for probably 10 or 12 years, as long as they've been here. And I enjoyed the meal much better when it was the chicken salad and so forth than I did with the pasta fare when this past time, but that's personal choice.
Well, I'm okay with the pasta fare as long as people are paying for what the cost is, okay? And that's not the case. And so maybe the ticket, if they want pasta fare and people are happy with it, then maybe the price should be $27 as opposed to $25. I mean, it should be budgeted to break even,
Right.
okay?
Well, I'm just seeing figures on a sheet of paper at the moment, which probably could be massaged so that they end up being break even. I don't think we should really spend any more time on it personally. I think let Michael be here and sort it out. Okay, moving on. Something really I want to ask Kevin about actually, the blood drive schedule. It wasn't included in the packet, like dates, times, etc. But all I wanted to make sure is it doesn't clash with any events in SummerGlen. That was the only thing. If there was any.
Right. Yeah, so that's a schedule of proposed dates. These aren't set in stone. First one being February 10th, but I will double check to make sure there's nothing competing with that. They come and park the bus by, right here by the Grand Hall. And so, yeah, I'll confirm that.
Okay.
It really doesn't compete with anything, does it? I
just wondered if it does, if there are other things going on that Yeah, I mean, that was my only concern, that was just a question.
I'll confirm that.
Okay.
It's a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Any comments, sorry? No? Okay, great. We're 12:15, I have a few more things. So really now we move on. I have on my agenda, let me just check. No, it's been
Sound system update.
yeah. Yeah, it's my packet. I've got another. Yeah, I have two agendas here, I'm sorry. 8N is the sound system update. I briefed you earlier about what was going on in that situation in the President's report. So I don't think I need to report any more on that, other than you know, people to stop tampering and touching things they shouldn't be touching.
Do you? I just want to ask Carol. Do you have any more information that you want to share at the end with the sound system?
No.
Alan? No.
Okay.
No. Okay. All right. I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, well, okay, I'll move on now to director input. So does anyone want to, or have anything to say?
Yes.
You're exhausted.
I
See,
do.
You don't know. See, when you put your name forward.
I do, Raymond.
Okay, Carol, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Just a reminder for Kevin, you had already left, that the unanimous consent for the spa heater repair, we need one to be prepared.
Great.
So we don't have to hold that up.
Wonderful.
And the other one was, I wanted to bring up when we're talking about the scheduling for the blood drive thing here, it reminded me, in the spring, every spring, we always have a second shredding done by the shredding people.
Yeah.
And so you'll need to look for a date from them for that.
Okay.
There's already a date, it's on the calendar, it's April something. For shredding.
It's part of their contract, I believe they do it twice a year.
Okay, great.
Anything else?
That was it.
I have a few things in regards to the golf course and the softball field. All the greens have been aerified, fertilized, continuing with aerification through the next few months. Bulk fertilizing on the week of the 10th. They're going to be doing that on a bulk fertilizing next month on the 10th. The sod came in today. They're laying it as we speak. So some of the spots that were on 3 and 4, they're going to be taken care of. Some of the extra sod, they'll fill in around the some of the sand traps that need it. Curfew date is April the 21st and the 22nd. They'll be aerifying the golf course along with the baseball field. We don't have quite a price yet because we want them to come out and look at some of the other areas besides our tee boxes, our fairways and greens. We have a nematodes problem in front of some of the holes on the hills, some of them that's bare spots. It's all due to bugs, the nematodes and what the heck was that? There's one other bug out there.
Cinch?
Cinch bugs, that's correct, thank you. So they're going to be spraying as much as they can, but the front of the on April the 21st and 22nd is the time that the course will be closed both days because of the fumes and everything from the stuff they spray down. We don't want to be using the golf course, so we got to make sure that we put that on our dates, the 21st and 22nd of April. The golf course will be closed, and I'll let John know that also. The debris, they're cleaning up a lot of the debris from storms around the trees. They're starting to shed some of the material that's died over the winter, so they're working on that. They have a new mechanic hired, and he's doing a fantastic job. As far as ABM is concerned, they're very pleased with the work that they are doing. They got 3 new pieces of equipment in earlier. They got a new greens mower in, and they got a new, actually they got 2 greens mower in. They do something a little bit different, and one's for the collars, one's for the greens. They just came in the other day, so I don't think they've been out in the course yet. But that's the update on the golf course. They are at full staff, eight people, and we had a meeting with Raymond, myself. Kevin was there also. We rode the golf course, all 18 holes, and then we had a meeting with ABM, and we told them that we weren't satisfied with the performance from ABM so far, and they said they'll definitely upgrade their staff, try to get more concentration on the course. They know they're not doing the job that they said they thought they could do, but hopefully by the spring you'll see a pretty good improvement. And I think we laid out the law that if it doesn't look good in the spring, then we want some reimbursements, or we'll be looking for another vendor. That's all I have. Thank you.
Tom? No?
Thank you. We have 2 openings in the Finance Committee. Again, it's probably a 2-hour meeting once a month, maybe another hour or 2 afterwards on your own. If you balance your checkbook or write checks, you qualify. You don't have to be in accounting. You don't have to be a banker. You don't have to be a rocket science person. It's a good way to learn about the community. If anybody is thinking that maybe in September, October, they want to run for a board position, boy, getting on the Finance Committee is a good way to learn and get into some of the information and detail that goes into our budget process. So I request that you please consider that. Again, you don't have to be a rocket science. You balance your checkbook, you qualify. That simple. And it's not as much time as some people think it is. It's probably a couple hours a month, maybe with another hour or 2 to do some research. The other comment, I think, Kevin, I think we need to have a file where we document in writing comments to some of our contractors, so that if we're not satisfied, we document the discussions that we've had and put it in a file to avoid, if we're really not satisfied, to avoid he said, she said. And that comes up every time. We've certainly learned that in the past with the restaurant, and we started documenting a lot of things. I think it's important to do that. And that goes for Flora Lawn and ABM. If they're not doing their job and we have discussions, we don't have to necessarily give them something to sign, but we should document the conversation, the people in attendance, and put it in a folder. So if something happens, we have documentation. I think that's crucial if we do not do that.
Agreed.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
John, you okay? Okay.
Raymond, could I interrupt for 1 second?
Adjourn the meeting, then I open it up for...
Well, no, I'm wondering if you skipped D.
I did.
Oh, I didn't hear that you said you were...
It was announced on the meeting sheet at the beginning.
Oh,
and I did
okay.
announce it at the beginning of the meeting.
Sorry, I waited all
Yeah.
this time, sorry. Shoot.
Okay, so, okay, I'll have a discussion about the next meeting. I propose then to keep our next meeting as we had previously planned, which would be February the 13th at 9:30 here in the Grand Hall. I think we'll work on the date of our workshop, possibly maybe having it in the evening on a Monday, if the Monday evening is possible. But I think that's something I'll leave it to as an open discussion amongst us. You know, not now, but I think that will be a thing. Give it a try. You know, it's a what I call a suck it and see type thing. So you know, if I can use that expression, I'm not
Well,
sure.
and also,
But so that's what I would do.
yeah.
Okay. So with that, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
I make the motion, we agenda,
Agenda. Yes, we'll agenda it.
I'll second that adjournment.
Thank you. All in favour? Aye.
aye.
Okay, meeting's adjourned. Now the floor is open for additional resident input as applicable.
I have a couple of other thoughts before I get to that. Do we have contracts with language already inserted for us having recourse? In other words, is there a line that says, if you don't perform this contract, 20% comes back to SummerGlen, and we're going to hold our last payment until whatever, until we're satisfied? Do we have any standard language in our contracts to protect ourselves to the point that Tom was making, that we ought to prepare ourselves by documenting these discussions? Well, what do the contracts say? Any input?
The contracts are all on the website, Bob. If you want to look at Florida Lawns or ABM's contract, you can absolutely just read it yourself if you want to. But we, as far as I'm concerned, we do have some kind of resource, and we talked to ABM, and they're going to do a lot of work at cost as far as if they have to buy any real material, and the sod that they're laying, they're eating that sod cost, and some other little odds and ends they're doing to try to get the course in a better shape. But yes, we do have some kind of resource.
Good, you know, because one of the comments that was made early on, I forget the gentleman, maybe that new gentleman Dick, who seems like a really great hire for us, mentioned, or maybe it was Mr. Stanek, who said that some pool equipment was brought in, and these people were who we hired were pouring stuff in there, and it damaged our equipment and everything. Do we have recourse against people who do things? I recall we had a pickleball court that was done improperly, had to be redone by us. We shelled out for the first, we shelled out for the second. I would think it would be a good thing if we explored with our lawyers, if we could get some boilerplate contract clauses in our contracts that go to every single vendor. Here's what's going to be, this is how you do business with SummerGlen. You screw up, we have recourse, and here it is. That's a suggestion. As to the golf committee thing, I know the board is, and for years, very concerned about our golf and restaurant business, but being concerned really isn't enough. You need to plan in advance, and I think having proper, ongoing committees, specifically a restaurant committee and a golf committee to be reestablished, and that's why I originally came up, I saw that on the agenda, is paramount of importance to the community. We have people with expertise. Ray Williams was up here. He might, I don't want to speak for him, but people like that might be willing to go onto a restaurant committee and provide you with certain input so that we don't have trouble and fall into pitfalls like we did, especially with the restaurant being vacant for what could turn into be a year. As to that, my impression was that First Services was hired in large part for their restaurant expertise. And in my opinion, they failed to bring a resolution with Sal to address the board concerns that the board had with Sal and to fix the various things that Sal had going on. And they failed to establish and advise the board, and failed to establish and advise the board to establish a plan to replace him before getting rid of him in a manner that would have avoided the lawsuits we got embroiled in. A lot of time was tossed aside on things that probably, or possibly at least, could have been handled better. And I think we lost out on that. And a lot of it, I think, is because we didn't get good advice from First Services, who should have provided that advice. And if the community was told in First Services hiring interview, we had a town hall, if I remember right, that a year could go by before a replacement vendor was secured for a restaurant, that they may not have been hired in the first place. And lastly, another comment on FSR. I have spoken to the board for years now, and Mike Henry directly, and I'm sorry to see him go, because he's a nice person, I happen to like Mike. But regarding the maintenance of the carpet in this room, in this very room, as well as securing the attic stock that was purchased for that purpose. And despite assurances to have a regular maintenance plan, like you have for mowing lawns or whatever, you can take a look at this right here at the front of the main entrance of this hall, and it's not maintained. It looks like crap, and it's a poor reflection of the community, especially the potential buyers who come in here. It's one of the things that real estate brokers show them is the grand hall. It looks like crap. We don't do anything. Now I'm hopeful maybe the new gentleman, maybe Dick, can address these matters, but First Services, I believe, located where the attic stock is, and we need to have a plan for that. I've been in the carpet business I was in for 30 years. I can help advise how to do a maintenance program. Ralph Sickler could help advise. We have people in the community who are familiar with certain things that maybe could help out. So anyway, those are all my thoughts. I really hope you put that golf committee and a restaurant committee together forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Date. I mean, there's lots of speculation in the community as to what the date will be. The date will be when the lease is complete and we anticipate, an opening. When that happens, as I said it earlier in my conversation about it, Diane and Anthony from Wolfies have received the lease. We've had several meetings amongst the board member, executive meetings, as you might have probably guessed that, on talking about the restaurant. They're in possession of the lease, they've passed it to their attorney. I think there may be a slight delay because of the pregnancy that's there, but it may not occur. We're hoping for feedback. I think it was Friday, this tomorrow. We're hoping to get some feedback, and then we'll look at it. Maybe have to meet again. It depends on the complexities of the. If they come back and say we don't want this, we don't want that, then obviously the board's gonna have to meet again. But if it's just generic things, then probably we may not have to meet all together, and then we can move forward and get a start date. There's no the lease is out there. There's no dates on the lease. Thou shalt start on this date. So there's wherever you hear March the 1st from or February the 1st, this is all wrong.
Well, I believe that some of those dates in past meetings have come from the board.
No.
Everything's estimated, like Raymond's saying, everything's estimated because they have to get their approval for liquor license, food license, and stuff like that.
Understand, but
when the lease is signed.
Dan and Raymond, I think First Service has gotten a bad rap on the restaurant progress, and I'm hearing it over and over from the community. So as a new board member, I've come up to speed in a hurry with quite a few meetings, sitting with First Service, and they have really, in my estimation, worked very hard in trying to get us a tenant, and they've had some setbacks, but this tenant they've worked very hard on, and I'm impressed with what they've done. And everybody's giving them a bad rap, and I'll tell you what, I think they've done a good job. And that's what I've seen in a month, so that's my 2 cents worth.
I'd like to also clarify too, the first 3 to 4 months that we lost in finding a restaurant was because we were not allowed to go out and look for one yet. So when you look at it and you say it's 8 to 9 months, yes, it is, but the first 3 to 4 months are better. We weren't even allowed to touch that restaurant or do anything with it from a legal perspective. So it wasn't that the board or First Services or anybody didn't do their job. We did the best we could possibly do, and so did First Services. And then when we did go out and look, out of the 7 to 10 people that we checked with, we only had one that was interested. We got to the point where it was almost time to write up contracts, and that person backed out. So we had to start all over again. So it's not because First Services didn't do their job. It's not because the board didn't. It's the circumstances that were created by outside people or situations. So please, it's like if you go and buy a car and you go to the dealership and, oh, by the way, it didn't get shipped and you custom ordered it. Well, there's nothing you can do about that. These were 3 to 4 months in the beginning. We legally could not do anything. And then we went through the whole process, thought we were there, and the other person backed out, not the board, not First Services. So we had to start all over again. So we had 2 delays that ended up costing us about 6 months out of that 9 months. So please keep that in mind. They were totally beyond anybody's control within here.
And I appreciate that, and without getting into a whole other discussion, I agree with Bob Saltzman that we had a restaurant here, they wanted to stay here. In talking with Sal and Christiana, who even after it went bad, had, from their lips to my ears, they would have considered staying had there been any ability at all to work things out. So we did have a restaurant here. I know a lot of people didn't like them, didn't approve of them, whatever, but they were here. So anyway, that's a different debate for a different day. My comment is about getting things done. So I have the big how, what, when on getting things done. If you call in the pro shop to this day, you go through you press 1 for the pro shop, press 2 for Tuscany. Seriously? Things like that don't get done. And we're still pressing 2 for Tuscany? Well, I can tell you it doesn't work. The robot reply to the general board. Lynn, you asked me last time I stood up here about emailing the board when we have the entire board, when we have issues that are on the golf course. I did that. I did that about 2 weeks ago. The robot reply that came back to me was that the general manager, she will get back to me in a timely manner. We haven't had a she general manager here since FSR took over. So getting things done in a timely manner, they don't happen. The ABM and John Harbison saga. I agree. The director of golf, I agree with Ray, who's not here right now, but I firmly believe the director of golf should be directly involved in overseeing ABM. I just heard that there was a ride-around on the golf course, and the Raymond, Dan, Brett, and whichever FSR rep, I think, I don't understand why John Harbison was not involved in that ride-around.
He was.
I'm sorry, I didn't mention John, so that's my fault.
Okay.
John was involved too.
Perfect, thank you. He should have access to invoices. This contract was written obviously without him. I have had multiple conversations
What
with John.
contract was written without him?
The ABM contract.
He wasn't here.
And that's right. But whoever was here, I don't believe the thing is that he cannot, and I'm getting these words from John, he doesn't have access to some of these invoices. He doesn't know that if we're getting charged for 100 bags of fertilizer,
That's all in the contract. There's no extra charge for them.
He doesn't have access to the invoices. He told me himself.
There is no invoices. It's in the contract.
Okay, so.
We don't get an invoice
So
from
we
ABM.
flat out paid ABM $750,000. Here you go, and we don't have any access to saying what they're ordering. Are they using everything here? That's my question, is the contract, has the contract been written so that we have no, as Bob Saltzman said, recourse when we don't feel that contract is being honored?
I think, in the I think Dan would confirm me, in the contract it's written down how many pounds for yard or square yards of that's laid down in certain areas, and how many times fertiliser is applied and so forth. But the cost of that is included in the price we pay them. The only extra cost we pay for them is any extra work that gets done, or the nematode treatment, which is a separate cost to the HOA. But the bulk cost of any fertiliser or any other weed killer they put down is in the. I think we've also got a proviso for any plumbing repairs as well in there. I think in there, so it's all covered. So it's not like 10 bags of fertiliser at $50 a bag. That's not in there.
Okay, we can talk about man hours. The point here is that the director of golf should be directing what's going on the golf course. And my opinion is if ABM is not answering to John Harbison, or at least working in conjunction with John Harbison, versus two of them reporting separately to First Services, then there's an issue. He's our director of golf, and he should be directing what's going on out there on the
Who
course.
told you there's a problem between John and ABM?
Nobody. I'm
Okay.
listening to what's
Okay,
being told to us
because
up here, and I'm listening to what's being told to me.
There has been
Conversations
communication
with John Harbison.
ongoing with ABM and John since he came aboard. So there is conversation going
And
on.
the conversation, as I have been told as well, is when the contract gets brought up from John Harbison to ABM, they turn around and throw the contract back in our face. Well, I think that at some point, if they're not following the contract, then we know that cups are not getting cut properly. We know that the tee boxes are not being organized properly. We know that we get out there on a big tournament, prior to a tournament that comes in, and the tee markers are not even sitting on the tee boxes. Those are little things that can be handled. We know that the tee markers aren't being placed within 10 yards, of the center of the box, the tee box. We know these things aren't happening. And yet it happens over and over and over again, and when it's brought up, if they're not being held accountable, the director of this golf course should be able to hold those people accountable. And rather than them throwing the contract in our face, we should be throwing the contract in their face and saying, if you're not doing it, then you guys need to be held accountable. We've had approximately 2 weeks of freezing weather, where we know that the grass hasn't been cut, the fairways haven't been cut, legitimately because it's been freezing weather. Yet there were man hours in the contract that those people are supposed to be working here cutting the grass. What were those people doing? Raymond has already left, but he watched out his lanai. He watched 3 people roll up on hole number 14 in 3 separate carts, and one person sat in their cart while one person got up on the tee box, took the flag out, laid it down. The third person got up there, cut the green. The second person got up there and put the flag back in. Really? These are man hours that are being wasted, and this is what I'm talking about, that if your director of golf doesn't have a direct say to ABM as what's happening on the golf course, then we have a lack of communication and an inefficient process that's going on here. Brassie's tournament, we just had my comment that I wrote back to that I sent an email that included pictures. One of them was on the disaster that we have in the DRA on hole number 18. That was a sinkhole. We had the Brassie's tournament in here 2 weeks ago. There were some high-level golf courses that were represented, and that product is an embarrassment. I hope that was my question. Have we paid the people who did the sinkhole? Have we paid them lock, stock, and barrel? And is what we have left, is that their finished product? Because it's an eyesore out there, and it's a danger. Somebody could trip and fall and skew themselves on the green stake that's left out there. It's been like that for months. Yet there it is. So,
Kevin,
I believe is that...
we brought that up several times to Mike.
Yeah,
Could you please follow? I don't even know if they've been paid in full, have they?
I believe the company was Helicon. I need to get with Mike on the status.
Okay.
He was spearheading that. I'm just.
I talked to him about it a month ago. Okay. And like Michelle said.
I'm going out there with a rake. I think I'm going to rake it myself. It's the only way it's going to get done.
This is our product, guys. This is our product. John Harbison was brought in here to sell our product
to the outside, because we can't sustain it from the inside. And if this is our product, with the weeds, and the weeds that are now creeping onto the greens, and the cups that can't be cut, and the disaster that's left by people that we're hiring to come in here and work for us, we're never going to sell the product.
We don't disagree with you, Michelle.
Hello. My name is Frank Staples, lot 715. I've heard a lot of issues raised today by my fellow residents, but I'm here to say thank you for two things. First of all, I want to thank you guys for giving up your life for what you're doing right now. I, for one, greatly appreciate it. I'm also the leader of the flock, and each Wednesday at 11, we pretty much have this grand hall full, and each Wednesday evening at 6:30, it's about half full. And Lynn said something that I greatly appreciate. I wanted to thank you, Lynn, for saying that before you schedule a meeting, you look at the calendar and try to inconvenience the least number of people, because I don't think that's always been done. And I know that there are certain nights in here that this entire grand hall is booked for like a table of people playing cards. And like I said, Wednesday mornings at 11, we pretty much have this grand hall full, and Wednesday evenings we have it about half full for our videos. And I just thank you for looking at the calendar, because comments come to me all the time that they don't think that that's been done in the past. A lot of our members feel like that meetings are just scheduled without any consideration, like we have the power to do it, so we're just going to put it at this time without even looking at it. And I loved hearing you say you looked at the calendar and you wanted to inconvenience these people. I sure appreciate that. And thank you guys for giving up your life and Thursday morning and part of the afternoon for what you're doing right now.
Thank you.
It's not finished yet.
You guys have been taking a hit today, so I hope I'm not going to come through too harsh, all right? My question, Rose Pinard, lot 145. I'm looking at golf operations manager, and to answer, I guess, Ray's question and Michelle's question about why is Harbison not able to work with ABM, it reads, summary of functions. The golf operations manager is responsible for the oversight and administration of the golf course and its operations. I don't know how there could be a misconnect here, or a disconnect. To me, that's like black and white. He should be involved. However, I do have a comment. I don't know what his hours are, because I have been up to his office many times. He is not there. Now, I understand maybe he does have health issues. We still have a business to run. And in my opinion, if he was getting a grade, it sure would not be an A. It would be more like a C- or a D. So he also needs to step it up. Are we ready? I'm asking you this, Dan. Hey, by the way, Dan, you gave a great report today. I think that's the best that you've given in really a long time, and I appreciate it. I really do. I think you did a great job. I think all of us golfers appreciate it. How do we stand with golf now? We're supposed to go live on Saturday. Are we ready?
They were supposed to have a meeting at 9 o'clock with John and Golf Now. I don't know what happened at the meeting because I've been here since 8:45. So John felt very comfortable that he was ready to go on the February the 1st, but I guess it depends a lot on the meeting today at 9 o'clock. He had staff come in and they were training them.
Okay, will someone from Golf Now be here for a week with the staff to make sure that they know and feel comfortable with what they're doing?
I'll know after 9 o'clock because the representative from Golf Now was there, and I think John was trying to find a schedule with them. So I'll email you and let you
Okay,
know.
all right, and then also, how do we as members book a tea time on Golf Now?
Just like we've been doing in the past. If you want a separate tea time, you book it. If you're playing with a group, it's already booked. So I don't think there's going to be that much of a difference.
Okay, well, I checked before I came this morning, and for instance, our Sunday group, all of the tea times are open. All the tea times are open, maybe because we haven't started it. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
They probably didn't fill in them yet.
Okay, all right. Also, this is just very frustrating. If anybody called our phone number, if you want the pro shop, no one answers. How do you run a business like that? They get the number and they call you back and they'll say, you just called us, our phones are not working. This is SummerGlen. This has been going on for months.
Yeah. Kevin, do you have any report on that? Because I was talking to them yesterday when I was in there, and somebody was over from the office
Yes.
trying to get that straightened out.
Yeah, I know the office was working on that yesterday with our voicemail company to get all of that changed, because they have to change it in our office as well, getting Jody removed from the phone tree, and they were to be working on that. It may be fixed as of now. I've got to double check on that, but they literally were working on that yesterday to clean up, press 2 for Tuscany, get rid of that. So they're working on it. It may be done. I have to check.
Okay, because I liked Brian, and Brian's name is still on there as well.
I will check.
And thank you. I was going to ask you about the mess left over with the sinkhole on number 18. So thanks for addressing that. And also the weeds. When was the last time, Dan, that they sprayed the pre-emerge and post-emerge on the greens?
Probably not through the cold weather we had, but that's on their schedule this week to spray them. And also the softball field, they're doing that. So hopefully we'll see a big improvement within a week to 10 days.
Okay.
You can't spray it during the winter because you're not doing anything. This nice weather was the temperature, the way Brett explained to me, as long as the temperature stays below or above freezing, about 35 to 36 degrees, he can do it, and it'll have some kind of effect to kill them. So hopefully they're doing that today.
Okay, well, I can blame my lousy putting yesterday on the greens. Just saying. By the way, Raymond, I love your sense of humor.
Sorry?
I love your sense of humor.
Oh.
I'm just going to say this, and I wanted to say it last time. In my entire life, I have never been to a meeting where the person leading the meeting said, "Excuse me, we're going to take a wee break." I found that humorous. Sorry.
Well, I was speaking from the bladder.
Anyway, I'll leave you with that, and I appreciate all that you do. Believe me, I do. And so I won't be as harsh as I kind of came across yesterday, Tom, at the Finance Committee meeting. So anyway, thank you all. And I appreciate all that the Finance Committee does. They are terrific. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rose, for your input.
Oh, no. Roland, come on. My stomach's rumbling.
All right.
And my McDonald's man's gone.
Roland LaFontaine, lot 230. Something totally different. Something I've been noticing every time I go to get the mail, and I hope you guys have noticed it too. Can we have, or think about this, a temporary parking spot at the RSO for cars that might be age limited or handicapped, for older people, because they can hardly walk, never mind drive, to go pick up their mail. They always park in the crosswalk, okay, to go get their mail, and they shuffle about this far with each step. Is it possible to put some kind of a parking space that might be parallel to the RSO building so they can park their car, get out, and go get their mail, and only have to walk a very short distance to get there? A lot of people are getting a lot older now here at SummerGlen, and for God's sake, they can't even cross in the crosswalk. It takes them 10 minutes
Perhaps a neighbor.
to cross in the crosswalk. That's what I wanted to bring up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're done, yes, okay, anyone else? Okay, us 4 or 5, I mean, little Mike and Russ got out, they escaped that, didn't they, today? Okay, thanks very much for everyone attending, appreciate that, and your comments are noted.
Thank you, you guys.
Well, thank you.